Mudflood Club.
Welcome. I'm your host, Beags, and we have a special guest today, as many of you may know. And I'd like to welcome Paul Cook to the channel. Welcome, Paul.
Easy, Tigers. Hope everyone's fine and dandy.
And we're gonna wait till little people get in here. It takes a little while for people to jump on the stream. We've got JJ in the background running, looking at chat, and if you have any questions, put them in the chat. JJ will put them in there and store them for me so we can get your questions looked at. And we're going to see what we can get into today. It could be anything. We have a few topics we want to go over, but if you have any specific questions for Paul, I don't really need to answer your questions today since Paul can answer them all. So let's let him have the floor, and we'll see where we can go with this. So, Paul, you want to talk about some viaducts and I want to talk about the differences between America and Europe, but mainly I'd say England, or not England. Well, what do you call the continent, the island, the whole island?
The whole island, without Ireland, the country Ireland, would be Great Britain. But if you want to include Ireland, it's the United Kingdom.
The United. Okay, let's say the United Kingdom, because it could be all one thing back in the old world. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at the anomalies of what is underneath your streets as opposed to what's underneath American streets. And I think there's a difference. And so I want to look at the difference there. And let me show you some images. Let me get my pictures here. We've got, oh, I'm on the wrong one there. Okay, sorry, folks. I've got to get to when we were looking around, I was changing what folder I was in. Okay, I got it. Okay, this is Bristol, England. Is that right?
Bristol. Yeah, I know.
That's how you say it. Okay. Now, this here is I was telling you about this. This is the Secret Vault, which is a channel on YouTube that does urban exploration. And what this dude did was he dropped into a like a manhole cover, and on the side of the street in the sidewalk in Bristol, England. And when he dropped in and turned the camera around, this is the first thing he saw. So this tunnel right here goes straight towards the street. Now, if you look in the background, there's a cavern, a vault. Mm-hmm. And this is a little bit closer. And this is the vault that is right past the little tunnel there. And this is when he looks back the other way. The entrance to the manhole cover is right here. Now, he goes a little bit further and turns right. This is the middle of the street, and the sidewalk would be on the left and the right. And this is running right down the middle of the street. And these are vaults going down the middle of the street. It's all brick. And this is one of the little rooms that's on the side right here, like this. You look in here, and that's on the side. And then you notice there's windows right here. There's another vault, and there's a window, and there's a door, another vault. Here's another vault. There's a door, and here's like a weird, like maybe a door, and there's a vault here on the right. And this is kind of at the end of the tunnel. And this is this is near the end. There's a bricked up vault here, and this is like a little hole at the end. But the point is that is underneath a city street in Bristol, England. So I was looking at that, and I was like, that is really very strange, because in America, the vaults that we have are very different. We have the vaults, but they're not in the middle of the street. They're on the sides. They're under the sidewalks. So it's a whole different configuration.
Can I jump in, Beaks?
Go.
Right, what you're saying there is spot on. But when I go to another part of England where my sister lives, the vaults are where you just said, out in the street. So in her house, we can go up like.
I've seen that video. Yeah.
Yeah. So then vaults go out to underneath the streets, which is
Right.
madness. So maybe it's different areas.
I don't know. It's well, that one, the one I just showed you, was under the street. It was literally
right.
It was literally under the, like, if trying to get, okay, if this is the road and over here is the sidewalk and over here is the sidewalk, those underground areas were right under the road. That middle hallway was in the center of the road.
Right, yeah, that's the same as it's the same as in Margate, then, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, now let me show you America, what we have. Let me show you what we have in America, so that you can see the comparison of the difference. This is from my pavement light research. This is what we call a vault in America, but see, these are man-made, where, well, they're both man-made, but these are constructed where they dig these out. This is the side of the building here, and they dig them out and they create what's called a retaining wall. And that's right here. And the road is right here. See this horse right here? He's on the road. And then underneath the this area here is called an area way. And the top is called a vault. And so sometimes they're made of steel I-beam construction, sometimes they're brick construction, and then they would put pavement lights in them right here. And this is a coal hole cover with pavement lights. And here's another example. You've got the vaulted sidewalk, and this is the road here. But see, in England, what I'm seeing is that the vaults are here in the center of the road.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And this is underneath where you would have the windows and doors and the vault and the pavement light. And here's a building, and here's a retaining wall, but yours are over here under the roadway from what I'm seeing.
That is exactly right. Yeah.
So it's very different. See, here's an example. If ours would be on the left and the right, okay, in these areas, but yours would be like in this area, which to me is extremely different than this is in Seattle. And see, this area here is dirt. It's filled in. We have the services, as you call them, right here.
This is the best image for this, by the way.
And this is not a great image because this was taken off a picture on the wall in downtown Seattle, in the underground Seattle. And so the official history says that they opened this up, built these retaining walls, put ladders in, and the stores are on here, and they raised the street and they filled it in. That's the official history, which is, horseshit, but that's the official history. So the point is that the two, it seems like there's a very different construction or cover up in your area and in my area, and I find that really fascinating.
That is interesting. That is very interesting, and well noticed, by the way. Well noticed, very well noticed. But it is like that in England. You do see that, and it's strange. But my theory now, after doing all this research, it seems to me that the reason part of it's gone down the road is because that's the best way to put the services. Now, if you went back to that last image, it showed you had, I don't know, maybe gas pipes, water pipes, or electrical cables going down the middle. Now that would make sense. Also, what else would it be? Sewage as well. So you'd have to have sewage in there as well. So instead of digging the road up, wouldn't you just put the services in and then lose a layer?
That's so weird. I think that what they did in America is they this is my thinking. I think that they came in after the mud flood, and you had these buildings that were covered, so many stories, sometimes one story, sometimes two, sometimes three, sometimes four. I found up to 40 feet deep, but it could be deeper. But they came in, I think they dug out the streets. And they did two things. Number one, they built these retaining walls on the side so they could put in the vaults. And they also got up the trolley tracks. and then put them on the top level and filled that dirt back in and put the trolley tracks on there and then filled that in with brick and bricked up the streets. But I
Yeah, that
think they
makes sense.
dug those trolley tracks up. That's just my
Yeah.
thinking.
Do you know what? I think personally, I think a few different techniques happened in different areas. I don't think you can apply that one technique to everywhere. I think
No.
in different areas it was different scenarios. So maybe they did dig up the roads. Maybe some areas were mud flooded. Maybe they did need to put services down. Maybe they did bring up the trams.
Which is where the viaducts come in, because in
Mhm.
Atlanta, they raised the entire city with viaducts. They raised it to a platform. So the old world is still that. Matter of fact, you're looking at the Atlanta Underground behind me. That's
Yeah.
what it looks like in all of downtown Atlanta.
Wow. Wow, man. I bet there's some people in there sleeping, isn't there?
I think there's a lot of things down there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Are you close to this, Beaks? Oh, no, you're not, are you?
Yeah, I'm about 8 hours away, I'd say.
Not close.
I have been there. I have been drinking in this place right here on New Year's Eve, but
Really?
I didn't care at the time. I was, a sheeple, and I was there to drink my beer and chase ladies, and I didn't give a damn. I was underground, and I was in underground Atlanta. Who gives a damn? Where's the music at? That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
But what's weird about this place is that what you're looking at above is the bottom of the viaduct. That means the city street is right above, right?
Yep.
But it goes down below here. This isn't even mud flood level. This is mud flood level, but below this is the original ground level. There's actually known stairs and stores below ground at this level. So it goes below this. The deepest I've found in Atlanta, Georgia is 40 feet deep.
Wow, mate. And see that image behind you. If you was to, I don't know, look like not you turn around, but say you to turn around and look down the it looks like a car park, but I know it's not, down the viaduct. Would you see the bases of buildings?
Would you like to see them?
Can you see it? You got them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mate.
Oh, we got a question here. Let's see. UK is so compact in historical changes, yet it's ancient. So how could Americans have lots that don't fit? Time stories. UK is so. I wonder if he's talking about what we were talking about earlier about the things happened at different times here than happened over where you're at. Maybe that's what he's referring to, because we were talking about that I think that different, that whatever happened like it was different events, and it happened differently over in your area, and then they migrated over here after that happened, that they came out of underground and then migrated over here, dug things out over here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm answering that question. Let me show you some underground. Let's see, underground. Okay, here is. Okay, this one is okay. This is a picture.
Wow.
That was taken as they were constructing the viaducts, and this is before they closed the viaducts for good. The top here, see this steel framing right here? That is
going to
the
be
sidewalk.
Wow.
The road is this black piece here on the right hand side, and this is below street level.
Wow.
They covered it up.
Unbelievable. Do you know what year they did this, Beaks?
Huh?
Do you know what year they did this?
Yeah, it was in the 20s. Let me see. I'm gonna find a different let's see. Nope. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is the Atlanta Underground, and this concrete you see under here was added later. They wanted to make it look nicer. Underneath this is steel I-beams. which I can show you pictures of too. But if you look right here, you still have the facade and the original doors, and they still have like the original street lamps in
Wow.
places.
This is what wow.
There's some original facade. There's some original lamps. Here you can see it goes down into the ground. Here's a beautiful example where you have the original facading. You can see that beautiful torus field on the column and the stone facade. Now, this is a really interesting one here. This is a famous restaurant called Down the Hatch, and the level that you're looking at behind me in my picture is right here where these guys are walking. The viaduct is right here up in the air. So street level's right here. This right here is the level after the mud flood, but then it goes down, and supposedly, and I haven't confirmed it, but supposedly there was a replica pirate ship in the restaurant below ground here. Like a full-size like replica. I've got pictures of it.
Do you know if there's any, have you? That'd be good to have a look at them. Do you know if there was any water under there, Beags? Any canals or anything?
Not that I have found.
Right.
No. This is a facade that was covered up. See, it says the storefronts of Underground Atlanta before they became underground. So this is now Underground Atlanta. Like you cannot see it. And if you notice right here, this is telltale right here. See that little bit right there?
They've done it before.
Darkness? This is mud flood level. The original ground level goes below this. So this is not even the original level. So
mate, this is worth after. This is worth a video on its own, mate.
Yeah. And let's see. I got the wow. I've got new pictures. Let's see if I can find it. I've found some. This is really weird. This is in the underground MARTA, which is the subway, which is way down under. It's under the underground. Okay, so this is down about 40 to 50 feet below Atlanta, Georgia. And they have this weird facade that they saved from one of the buildings. So that was under the ground. This is a better picture. This is an actual facade that is in situ in underground Atlanta, and it is a real facade of a building that was covered up in underground Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that insanity?
Well, it's unbelievable. I wonder what material that is as well.
I have no idea. See, these are the viaducts. These are new images of it. This is the construction with the metal, and you can see how it's constructed. All this is underground now.
So this is the infrastructure holding up the new world.
Exactly.
Well, it's already built. Some of it's been built already. This has been built around it, I guess, hasn't it?
Right. Let me see. I'm gonna just flip through this. We'll take a look on your channel. We'll look in detail at all this stuff. This is what's called the gulch. This is the deepest part of the viaduct that I have a picture of where it shows the viaduct. This is a 40-foot piece, and that's the viaduct right there. It's called the gulch.
So this was 100 years ago. There'd be no one alive now, would there? There'd be no one alive now to talk to about this.
No. There is a this is a viaduct here, and when they put in this highway here, they closed it off. So this is the end of a viaduct. I was looking for some specific pictures that I found recently. Now this is an interesting picture. You can't really see a lot, but they covered this area here with these arches up. The viaduct is right here. This is when they're installing the viaducts, and this is the metal that they use, the steel. This is when they bring it in. They brought it in on trains and then set up. This is when they're actually constructing it. Now, I have a few pictures. Like, this is a great example. This is all covered up now. This is in underground Atlanta now, but you can't see it. They don't tell. The only area of underground Atlanta is like like 2 or 3 blocks of Atlanta, and it's the whole city. Still looking for these certain pictures.
There's a famous image like that. I think it's in Paris as well, isn't it? When they're taking a picture of the corner, and you can see about 4 levels down. I don't know if you know that picture.
Yes.
I
See,
think
this
it's
is
Paris.
underground Atlanta, and you've got stairs going down right here. So that
Wow.
shows you there's levels underneath levels.
Yeah.
Okay, these are what I was wanting to show you. This is like a some kind of model that somebody has made for a display to show downtown Atlanta in the old history, and it shows the viaducts before they covered everything up. So this model is like crazy because it gives you a different perspective
Yeah.
of what was going on. See that?
Yeah.
This is a model, but this is an exact replica of what is there. Isn't that insane?
Mate, I've never ever seen anything like this, mate. Not like this that you're showing me now.
It's totally wackadoodle.
So
Now,
this, I need to make a video on this. I need to do
these
some deep
pictures
research.
were hard to find right here. I had trouble finding I had trouble getting these off the internet. But I did get them. I had to fight for them, but I got them. But see, look at this. This is all underground. This is a model of what was there. This is where they're imploding a building, and you got the viaduct over here on the right. That's why I have these pictures.
This is grade A stuff, Beaks, mate. This is grade AA stuff.
Now, I think that it's possible that you have the same thing in England, especially London, because, and I'll show you that here in a minute.
I have the same thing in the town where I live, the city I live.
Let's see. Okay, there's a good one. This is the street level today is up here. It's kind of hard to tell it, but the street level is up here, and this is underground.
Mm-hmm.
This is just all random data I've been trying to store collect as much information about this as I can, because over time new information comes available. And I'm trying to find that one picture now. This is when they're constructing the viaduct, and you see they're covering the buildings up right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is that? 20 feet of building, and that mud flood levels here, y'all. It's not.
Yeah.
This isn't mud flood level. This is mud flood.
Yeah.
That means that it goes below that. So you got 20 feet plus another 10 feet at least. That's
They've
30
nicked
feet.
Yeah. They've nicked a couple of levels off you.
Yeah.
So the mud flood in this area happened a long time before, and then they've put the viaducts down after that.
This is a plan that they say they proposed this Beckley plan before they did the viaducts, and they poo-pooed the idea to do this plan. So this was supposedly the original plan to build to cover this up, and then they chose the viaducts. And you can just search viaducts of Atlanta, and a Wikipedia page will come up. This is all underground today.
Wow.
This is when they're constructing. Imagine what's down there. Just imagine. It's mind-boggling. And I'll show you. I'm trying to find certain pictures. We'll go through this picture by picture on your channel. I'm just trying to get through. And see there's in the construction. Look at that underground. Insanity. This is all new stuff I found since I made my video. This is all. Look at that. This is underground now. It's mental. Absolutely mental.
It's crazy, mate. It's absolutely crazy.
This was the Beckley plan. This is what they originally proposed, and they decided not to do this. It's probably part of the horseshit now. This is the best image of viaduct that I have, because this one tells it all. Because today, this is what it looks like. This is what you see, and it looks like a normal city street. Nothing to see here. Move along, right? But this is during the construction of it. and it clear as day shows the horse shit in plain sight, unquestionably. They're perfect proof. There's no better proof than that right there. Now,
what year was that, Beaks?
Around it was in the 20s, I believe. This is 1930 right here, but they started in the 20s.
They're rolling that massive cable, that armored cable, mains cable.
I'm trying to find the map. I've got so much data. I can't. Here we go. This is the map that I created. Okay, this is a map of downtown Atlanta, and the area of the underground is right here. Okay, this is I think it's 4 square blocks. When the area that you're seeing behind me in my picture is this right here. But what I'm going to tell you is that so far I have confirmed that everything in red is a viaduct, and just recently I confirmed that it goes way up here past the fucking map.
What does that tell you, mate?
I mean, we're dealing with something big.
Yeah, and mate, it wouldn't surprise me if it goes left and right as well. It wouldn't surprise me if the whole place was like that.
Yeah, it's incredible. The more I look at it, the more I research it, the deeper it gets, and it's mind-boggling. And I think that I've already confirmed that Cleveland, Ohio is a viaduct city. I've already confirmed that Cincinnati is viaduct. I believe that Boston is. I believe that Chicago is. I believe that New York is. I have a entire list that people were sending me these things. Hey, look at my city. I think it may be. I think it may be. Now, let me show you an example of your area, because that's where we need to look at is the comparison of the two. Now, if I get up into London, where's that? It's on the River Thames, right? That's how you say it, right?
Thames.
Thames. And then where is the it's right here, I think. Yeah, this is it. Okay.
The nice brown water.
Yeah, that looks juicy.
Beautiful.
Okay, I think right here is evidence of a viaduct. Look at the road coming in and look at the construction underneath.
Yep.
Right there. You see the hole right there?
Yep.
Okay, now look here. That's a viaduct.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I see this all over London. Now, if I'm seeing that same thing in London that I'm seeing in Atlanta, I think it's possible that London could be a viaduct city.
100, mate. 100. I'm sure I've been in places where it seems like that as well. Because I was maintenance guy in London in Brick Lane, ironically, and I see so much stuff underground there because I was looking after the pipe work.
This one's fascinating right here. I remember looking at this one right here. Okay, you see how this bridge goes in, and you've got this weird step up thing here. Now, if you jump down right here on the ground, right, this is what it looks like. You got a building here, you got a building here. You know that goes all the way to the ground, right? And then it goes up. Now, if you come back out and you drop in right here, looks like a normal city street. Everything's normal, nothing to see here. Everything's cool. And then another weird anomaly, if I can find it, you actually have a road that's called a viaduct in London. Let me see if I can find it here. There it is.
I know this. I know.
Oh, it's famous. It's absolutely famous. And if you drop in, okay, I'm going to show it to you overhead. Okay, and everything, it just looks like a normal bridge, right? It's we just think of it as an overpass, right? But this thing is something else. Wow.
Yep.
And then look at that. Okay.
Do you know what, Biggs? I've been on that bridge before, and I didn't realise. I thought that when I was walking along there, I thought there was going to be water over the side, and when I looked down, it was the road.
It's crazy, right?
It is. It really
Now,
is.
another weird part is right here, and it's kind of hard to see, but there is just one more snippet of that viaduct that you can see, which is right here. And if I can get down, you can see a little bit more.
Do you know what? I might go here and have a little investigation on this.
Check that out. Now, what's in those doors?
Yeah, I know. What is going on in there?
And see how there's the same viaduct construction that we see, but look what's underground here.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they hiding? What is underneath this street? Now, if you go, what I'm saying is it's possible. Now this is where the boots on the ground comes in. Okay. I can only do so much by pictures and Google and all that mess, right? I can only do so much speculation. From there, you have to get urbex. You have to get boots on the ground, and you have to go and look at a location like this right here, where you have an old world building, obviously, no doubt, no question. Well, we know that there is underground. We know it. So what is underneath that road?
Mental, mate. Absolutely mental. And you know, I don't know if you've seen the video of me going into Camden on the canoe. That's viaduct there. You're going under viaduct there. You know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you got the bank one side and bank the other side, and it's the viaduct going over that. And that tunnel takes you deep into obviously London, Camden, but underground. And from there you can access. So basically, the backstory to that was the way that the tradesmen would come in. When I say tradesmen, I mean people that were selling fruit, veg, stuff like that in the markets. So they come in on the boats and they go underneath. This is a story, not me. I'm just relaying. So yeah, they come in on the I can't remember the name of the canal now. Dead Dog Alley, I think it's called, on Camden in Camden's. Yes, you come in and then you can turn right and you go underneath it. And you're underneath the viaducts, and then from there you can go to different places. But it's got all the arches, all the vaults, and it's got a real bad feeling down there as well. It was very, I don't know, it just didn't seem nice down there. But bad energy, mate. Yeah, bad energy and a bit cold. But there was signs of breeze blocks. People were literally on the job. So I'm in there at night time, and people were there during the day, blocking up these arches, because every 5 foot there's an arch down there. You know, it's like arch. So they were, when we got down there, you could see how far they got. So they've done like 5 courses up of the blocks, and you could just see over. Wow. And some of them, where they hadn't completed the arches, you could see and you could hear the trains going past as well. So literally on the same level as the train track. It's mental, mate.
That's wild.
It really is. You feel like a little rat sometimes going through these places.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm not getting down under there. Here's a question. We built lots before drainage. We didn't think ahead. Where towns are uneven, where towns are uneven, some lose 1, 2, even 3 floors, yet others none. And then we got, do you know anything about use of canals cut into rivers and ran through the city? I have when I'm doing research on Raleigh, North Carolina, which is my hometown, there is an underground canal called Pigeon Branch Canal that is a stone canal that goes all the way under the city, and there's absolutely no history as to who built it. Wow.
Do they do trips on that?
No. I'll show it to you. They don't. No, it's off limits. It's
Beags. I went to the oldest last week. I went to the oldest canal system in the United Kingdom, and it went underneath a town called Dudley. So it went underneath a cemetery. It went in a limestone quarry, like underground, the limestone quarry. It went through a coal mine, and it went above a gold mine, apparently. And obviously, and another thing, we was on the trip for about 2 hours underground, just going on this boat underground. And every now and then you just see a bit of light coming through, and it'd be like one of the drain covers.
That's
crazy, isn't it? And you'd also see other, I'm going to say, like entrances branching off, that have been blocked up. So water weren't going down there or coming into where we was at.
Let me get rid of some of these tabs here, so we're not dealing too much. Okay, this is the underground. This is underneath the city of Raleigh, North Carolina, and this part has been covered over time. But it was built with this stone wall here, and then
Shut
you've
and
got
cover.
this, and there's no history of who built it. This is another part of it. This is the external part of it. Pigeon House Branch River Aqueduct is what they call it.
Mate, you need to get a canoe, mate, and you need to go in there. That I'd be jumping on that, mate, straight away.
I have video of people going through it, but the video is so poor quality that you really can't tell what you're looking at. But I have mainly images of the outside. Let's see if I can find. See, there's another example. But there's just no. Okay, I don't know what that is. Who knows? I've got so many videos on that stuff, but it's this thing that that why do you not have a history of a canal running underneath the city that's made of stone? Where is there? There should be a record of that, but
yeah, well, they give us a story to the one, because the one I went on to was like a commercial trip, right? So I think I paid £40. Me and Abby went on this boat for a couple of hours underground. But when you're under there, it parked up underground, and they put some big screen on it, like some cinema screen come on, and and all the lights come on, and I'm underground, and it's showing you like the story and how it was made. And they were saying that specific part where I was at actually started off in Brazil 250 million years ago. That's what they're saying. And they're saying that sand was swirling around, and it caused, mate. When me and my girlfriend were there laughing our heads off, literally, and people were getting annoyed with us. We was like, "This is a joke." I think I even filmed some of it because I couldn't believe what they're saying. They was telling you to look up and imagine like sand spinning around and then being compressed, making caves, and I was thinking, "Oh, this is a load of cobblers, mate. What a load of crap." In my eyes, what I was looking at was man-made down there, mate. There's blocks on the wall, the brick. Mate, it was unbelievable. It was literally a whole world that had been buried. That's what it was. It was just, and another thing I couldn't get my head around was why, if you like, because they were saying that you had to go and get limestone out of this quarry that was underground. But the only way you could get there is if you was on a boat for an hour, yeah, going through these skinny little tunnels, and then you come to an open cavity where you can go into a cave and get the blocks out, and it just didn't make sense. I thought, you ain't going to do that, because I know places that are closer where you can get lime from than going through all that trouble. I think they just make up all these little backstories just so you don't ask questions and move to the next topic.
Oh, it's like every time you seem to look into anything in that time frame, it's like all of a sudden there's the horseshit narrative. There's this weird story every single time. What are the odds of that every time you look at an old building or an old structure or an old area, the history, when you really look at the history, there's an anomaly of something that's so weird, makes no sense.
No, but where I've been going around now to all different places, I've noticed like a lot of the places have the same story, mate. A lot of places have the same story. They might even have it in America, but I know that in England on the coastline, where you've got caves on the coastline, they are smugglers' caves, mate. Smugglers took them over. Smugglers dug them out and they buried wines in there, fags, tobaccos.
We have different stories here, but we have the same anomaly where you have the same horseshit story over and over again. Like one example is the Shanghai tunnels, and you'll find that Shanghai tunnel thing where, oh yeah, they would drop them into the underground and then they would Shanghai them and send them off to a boat on China. But everybody thinks it's just in Portland. If you actually look at that area on the West Coast, that same horseshit narrative is told all over that area. And so it's like, it's a stamp of a story. We got another question here. Paris has more shops below ground than above. We got Jim Dillinger. Was Atlanta prominent in the Civil War? Yes. They say the official story is that they burned Atlanta, but they may have burned something, but they didn't burn the building, the brick buildings that they survived. They burned anything. They burned the wood frame structures that the or the settlers had made there. I think that they went through, especially in the South, they went through on a burning campaign and were torching these cities, trying to get rid of some of them, because there's a huge history during the Civil War of cities burning to the ground. And another history that we have here that I'm finding more and more, it's almost like you expect it now, is when you have a dam and you have a lake. Okay, you got your dam and then you got your lake, right? Well, if you look into the history, you'll find that they have flooded entire towns or multiple towns to build that dam. So they go in, and like sometimes the lakes will drain, there'll be a drought, and all of a sudden these towns will poke up out of the water, and there's these old world structures underneath these freaking lakes, and it's all over America.
Crazy. And I think one's just happened in I can't remember it was. I think it was in the middle of Iran. I think it was in Iran when the water levels had gone and it started to reveal a subterranean network of tunnels.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's something y'all see a lot over there, is the underground tunnels. Have you seen the one? I'm not going to get this. I could get it to you if you need it. Okay, we were talking about Josh earlier, exploring with Josh, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he did a video a year or two ago where he goes in an underground cave, it's the official story is that they dug it out, and that they then made all these paintings on the walls, and like has this really weird spiritual like history of this guy who time traveled. Have you heard this? Okay, I'll have to send you the video. But when I looked at the video, I'm like, that they didn't dig that out. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, I don't think they do a lot of things they say, though, do they?
No.
Nah, definitely not.
Not at all. Not at all. Got another question. Dan, cities often become leave. Sometimes they use auto spell. It gets tricky after the introduction of drains. Otherwise, every
Lower cities often become.
Could be lower after the introduction of drains. Otherwise, every dip would require a pump system. That's a good question.
Right, I know. I think I'll get just from that end bit. I think I'll guess what he's saying here, because obviously water has to come at a fall, doesn't it? So if you've got a load of drains, you can't have them all. Well, the drains on the floor will have a slight fall on them,
Right.
So the road will always go like. I guess the road will have a hump in the middle, so the water then goes to the drain, right? And then when the drain's underground, it'll connect into a pipe that will have a fall like that.
Right,
So that's what I think that geezer's on about. So it has to have some cities have to have the fall, but I think that's accommodated underground.
Same thing in plumbing, where I do handyman work, so I understand some of these terms. Where I know in plumbing you have to have a certain grade of that pipe downward for drainage, so it will drain. And I forget what that level is. Might be different.
I think it's. I can't remember it now.
It's not much.
I think it's 10 mil every 1 meter, something like that. 10 mil a meter. That's all it is.
It's tiny, but it has to be there for code.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's auto. Lots of sinkholes lately. Do you think it's the lower levels collapsing? I think in many places there are. I can't remember what city it is. It's either San Francisco or Seattle. And what's happening is they built these. They raised the level with the fill from when they sluiced the city. And what's happening now is that the ground is collapsing into the ground, and they're literally losing inches per year, where the entire street is just sinking. So that's another phenomenon that I'm starting to see. I found it in Charleston, South Carolina, Tampa Bay, I believe San Francisco, and the phenomena is, and there's probably other places, but they're starting to find these underground bricked arched tunnels that are old sewage. They say sewage, but there is zero record of these things, and they're miles and miles long, and there's no record of them ever being built.
Yeah, we have that in London as well.
You can stand in them.
Yeah, I've been in them. They've got pipes running through them in London, so I've had to walk 2 miles in London following pipe work in these old sewers. So they what they do now is they run new pipes in them. So they'd have cast iron drainage pipes running through them now instead. So I've had to go along there and check all that stuff. So I've been in there. I've been in these massive. It is phenomenal, mate. It's, where is it?
So cool.
Oh, I can't try to think the name of it now. Billingsgate Fish Market. So I walked from Brick Lane to Billingsgate Fish Market underground, tracking one long pipe, waste pipe, and it was in this brick tunnel it was on about that I could stand in and just walk. That's and they used to be, and because I was with an older guy, he weren't alive when they were sewage, but he was told that they were sewage like back in the day.
Edna Bell here saying that that's the only thing that makes sense. We are the survivors, and there are surviving arcs. Yeah, these underground areas. We were talking about this earlier, Paul. Me and Paul, just so y'all know, we chatted for about an hour. Y'all didn't get to see that, so y'all lose. But we had a good chat before the chat, and I had a good time. And so we were talking about how these underground areas were where the people hid during whatever event took place, and then they came up, and that's why we're finding these underground vaults and underground cities that are carved out of the rock and things like this.
And and it'll be the Freemasons that are blocking them up as we speak now, wouldn't it? So it's been an ongoing operation since God knows what, for the last 100 years, I guess, since they've built these viaducts, to be blocking up certain entrances when you get that, basically making it more and more smaller underground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because we're finding more and more of these things now. I mean, people are finding these things all the time. What they're doing is they're digging out their basement because they want to add something to their house, or they want to just dig a basement or whatever. They're digging holes, and all of a sudden they collapse into a cavern, and they get down in there, and there's 20,000 people cavern down there where a city for 20,000 people. And that's actually happened before, like several times. It's like, and this happens. This is a thing.
Mm-hmm. But in Liverpool, I'll go because Campbell mentioned the sinkholes. In my last video, I put about 10 pictures up of sinkholes just going around Liverpool in the last 10 years. Just roads caving in.
Yeah. I was just checking. Let's see here. Morning Glory, definitely possibility that America is Mystery Babylon.
Possibility. Anything's possible, really.
Explains why we have maritime law. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. Maritime law. Jim Dillinger, their justification is on water. Jurisdiction is on water, not land. Yeah, that's why all the roads have been redesignated as hostile inland waterways.
And another thing, roads, as in road. You've roads.
Okay. Let's see. And are Womble's cryptids?
Cryptids. What's under Wimbledon Common? Oh, I'd love to know that and all, mate. I'd love to know that, Jim.
What is that? I haven't heard that.
Wimbledon Commons in London. Well, sort of, yeah. It's there's a famous program. I can't remember what it is. Wimbledon. What is he? Wimbledon Wombat, isn't he?
I don't know that Wimbledon.
Wimbledon's it's just in London, basically.
Oh, I thought that was. You say Wimbledon, I think of the
tennis
match. Yeah.
Is
that what he's talking about?
No, Wimbledon Commons an area. So you do tennis there. You got trains. It's just another. But there was a program back in the day on Wimbledon.
Oh, okay. Right. I got you. I was
the Wombles. That's it. The Wombles, not the Wimbledon.
Got another question here for you. I think it also odd how canals are showed on old maps. Their tubes are and clearly part of the mechanical scale and not a cheap cutout canal. Library of Congress is amazing. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a map on canals in England, and it's phenomenal. They are the ancient highways, aren't they? They really are the ancient highways.
Very interesting. I don't know. Explain the difference between geopolymer and concrete to me in layman's terms, so I can understand.
I'm only going to have layman's terms anyway, Beaks, because I'm going to. How can I say it? I said I'm learning it myself, you know, and it's like asking an electrical engineer 6 months into the course to explain electrical engineering, you know. So with that being said, I have a very good idea because I'm making it myself. Now the difference is there is actually concrete. Obviously, people know what concrete is, right? It's a conglomerate, and it is sand with a little bit of lime, water, and cement. All right, that's all it is. That's concrete. That's all it is. And it will set. You can pour it into a mold. You can pour it into a block shape. It will set. And it will last about 100, 150 years. With geopolymer, it's a completely different material altogether. There's no cement inside it. There's a little bit of lime, but I'm going to talk about granite here. So with that, it's a lot more superior, by the way. So if you look now at all the old world structures that are geopolymer, and I'm talking about, say, the Egyptian pyramids, if you put a date to them, how old are they? I don't know, whatever you want to say, 10, 12, 7,000 years. Them blocks are still there. Yeah. If you was to use concrete, that ain't going to be there in 100, 150 years. Now, another thing to do with geopolymer is it is a chemical reaction that does the binding. So you're going down to the molecular structure of it, okay? So it's not like the cement. And let's talk about the granite, right? Because I've only been making granite and sandstone. That's all I've been playing with lately. And you can make so much. And people are trying to tell me all these different recipes. And it's such a big topic that you can't, like, I'm literally just dipping into little areas of it. So like I said, at the minute, I'm on sandstone and granite. I've managed to make a successful sandstone geopolymer at the minute. That's a little bit of light, a little bit of calcium hydroxide.
That's cool.
Yeah. Now, hang on. What's this one? Sorry, this one here. This one is sodium silicate, sand, iron oxide, which is just red. What do you call it? Iron dust. And this has calcium carbonate in it. That's all this is. That's all this is. This don't actually have the lime in it. I didn't put no lime in this one. So
you know, there's a guy that is a viewer of mine. His screen name is Maggot.
Yep.
And he is from Australia, and he is a mason. Mm-hmm. And he knows a lot about masonry. And he left comments on my last live video, 2 really long comments talking about masonry stuff. I thought you would be interested in knowing. So you should go and read those comments. I don't want to read them here because they're so long, but it was kind of the kind of stuff you would be interested in. He was talking about masonry techniques. I was like, what WTF are you talking about? It was so detailed and intricate and stuff that I'd never heard. So you might want to go read that comment.
Yeah, I'll have a look. If you can send it to me after.
Yeah.
But going back to the difference, one is superior, which is the geopolymer. One's going to last a lot longer. One is better. And obviously, concrete is just them ingredients. That's all you're going to use. Whereas geopolymers, you can make that out of pretty much anything. So you can take the hardest of stones like granite. You can even take limestone. You can even take sand or sandstone. And you can turn these into a geopolymer. That's the difference. But let me just make this.
What about erosion? What would be the differences in erosion of concrete and geopolymer?
Right. So this is, like I said, I am learning myself, but I have an answer for that. Really, sort of. When you make these, they develop a skin on them. Okay. So when the skin is deteriorating, when that jacket comes off, that's when the geopolymer will start to break down. So I ain't got no images to show you, but if you look at bricks, it's the same with a brick. When the skin comes off that brick, you'll see that everything starts flaking off inside of it. And it's the same with the geopolymers. So
There's
basically,
Bernie joined us. Hey,
easy,
Bernie.
Tiger.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So with that happening, it's like it's depending on the environment as well. But you're not going to knock up a geopolymer structure, an alkaline geopolymer structure, in an acid environment. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what's going to happen to it. So it's acid and alkaline that determines what happens to this. So like limestone in Egypt, some of them it's like deteriorating because the rain is acidic, right? That's what's happening. Like here, I don't know what would happen if I leave this out. This would be all right.
Okay.
This one would be all right.
Okay.
This one, this is this, all right?
Okay.
These are exactly the same, but this one has got sand in it, and this one is just shells and liquid glass.
Have you tried to make like a marble one yet?
Not yet. That's what I mean. I'm still playing.
Okay. If you made a marble geopolymer, how do they get the marble look? How do they get geopolymer marble to look like marble?
Right, because that's called scagliola. That one, that's called a scagliola, and that's actually a decorative finish. So it's not actually marble, but it gives you the marble effect.
Okay, I've heard you talk about that. So it's kind of
So, that's what that is. That's just a load of chemicals, and it's very dangerous as well.
Okay.
But this one is the granite. I made this one, the granite. So this is just the camera's so crap on here, man. But this is just granite. This is granite, sodium silicate, calcium hydroxide, and I've used granite dust as a binder in this. So the reason I've done all this was just to show to people that it can be done.
Right.
It can be. It's not rocket science. It is hard, but it's because you've got all these people talking about this ancient high tech and that this stuff was cut like this and done like that, but that's as far as they go. They don't go any further than that. If you say to these people, explain what this ancient high tech looks like, they can't. They don't even know. They don't know nothing.
No clue.
No, they ain't. So they're going
Have
along.
you done much research into what was it Conspiracy RS, or I think it was Conspiracy RS was talking about the old mortar that they don't even know how to make it today, that the buildings were made out of. Do you remember that video?
I might have done that. So I was just reading a comment from Campbell there, and I missed what you said. Sorry.
I don't know.
Ignore it. Yeah, sorry,
Campbell's a clown. He's
Where
always
is my
joking.
phone? Hang on. My phone's on flight mode though, so.
Hey, I had a question written down that now this is a little bit different, but can you clarify just for my understanding when you say, and I don't know, I'm just remembering off your videos, you said that you don't think there was mud flood in your area, or are you saying that? Can you give me more clarification on that? And then clarify that first so I understand.
Yeah, right. So in my area, I was literally going around looking for clues of mud flood. But what I come across was literally what you were talking about earlier. Like I couldn't have described it. Yeah, exactly that.
Okay, so, let me ask you this question. You got the street level, right? Mm-hmm. And then under the street, you got the vaults, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, what's under the vaults?
I don't know, because this is what I do know. What I do know is because I like to map like the 3D structure of the land. So from the sea, the south end has a cliff like that. It has a big cliff like that, and then you've got the town built on top of that.
Okay.
So I believe that this is just a mud facade to hide the viaducts, because from the seafront, there's actually doors along the seafront that go underneath. And like you showed earlier with their massive iron pillars, that's all down the seafront. You can see all that stuff. And then you've got the high street above that. So you have to climb up steps, and then you're in the high street. And when you're in the high street, you can go underground. Oh, when it was the pandemic, nowhere it was open in England. You couldn't even go and get your hair cut. But I knew a geezer that was cutting hair, and he said, "Yeah, come and meet me, and we'll get the haircut underground." I was like, "All right, sweet." Went underground, and guess where we're at? We're in some like viaduct place, mate, underneath the high street, and I'm getting my hair cut. Mental, isn't it?
And that's a thing I'm actually seeing in the pictures of in America is I continually see in the pictures a barber pole. I don't know what they're called, but you know the striped barber pole.
Red, white, and blue ones.
You'll see that, and then I'll look down, and all of a sudden you see stairs going down because the barbershop is below ground.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
crazy.
over and over and over. Why would you go below ground to get your hair cut where you can't see as good as you could above ground? That's
crazy.
Weird.
And another place, I lived in another place not long ago, well, before I moved to Malta, and I went to go and do some work in the basement. And when I was in the basement, as soon as I walked down and I looked in front of me, I see there was a door frame, not a door frame, but the shape of a door that had been blocked up and a window next to it. Because you always see the same thing. You see a door and then a window, didn't you? It's always that. It's that same profile. You've got a door, then a window, but it's all bricked up. And that led out to underneath the road. So... And when I was 16, again, when I was 16 years old, there was you've got like the oldest hotel in Southend, which is the Royal Hotel, that got turned into a hospital in World War II. But underneath that sits directly on top of Pier Hill, which is down the seafront. And like I said, it's at the top of a hill. But underneath that, when I was 16, I was doing labouring work, and my job was to literally load out the bricks for this guy who was blocking up all the arches underneath. And when I say arches, I don't mean brick arches, viaducts, mate.
Wow.
Viaduct arches, mate. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know Southend is a viaduct city.
Okay, now here's another question. Now this question is kind of whacked out from your answer before, but the way I wrote it down was, where did the dirt come from? And what I mean by that is if you're saying that you got the street and then the viaduct, I mean the vaults, okay. I'm thinking, or what my thinking is that if there is a mud flood level in your area, it would be under the vaults.
So that's right. Now that's actually right. Because when I say that, we're actually 20 meters away from sea level as I say that. So in between the sea and the bottom of these viaducts is a road and some shops, and that's it. These shops go back underground, and you end up underneath the high street. Yes, but I don't think they go lower than that because you've got the sea level, which is literally
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't seem to. Okay, like I said, in America, we have in the center of a road, it's filled in with dirt, unless it's a viaduct city. Like Raleigh, North Carolina, the center of the road is dirt. The sides are vaults, but the center of the road is dirt. So we know that dirt was mud flood because you have the buildings and you got the dirt above the level. Okay, you got doors and windows below ground. Okay, it's confirmed. We have dirt covering that over. But in your area, you're saying that the vault was built and then the road, but they're like, do you think in your opinion, do you think there was a mud flood, then they built the vault, then they put the road on top of the vault, or do you think they just put the vault on the road to cover up a level?
The vault, I think I know what you're trying to say, and I think the vault that's there was an ornamental part of a building on the seafront. So that's what I think, and what they've done is they've turned that into like a whole facade going along, because on the front of that you've got loads of little shops. They even call it the arches. So you know what I mean, and that goes. So what they've done is, I need a picture of it really because it's hard because it's going over different levels.
Yeah.
Let me get
I have wondered if maybe the reason it has doors and windows and shops and vaults under there is that is the underworld during the event, and they had shops, like they could go shop while they were underground.
It's funny you say that because one of them, the very end one, was actually a shop, mate. It's actually you can go in there. It's all been blocked off now, but it's still got written on it arcade, and arcades are the shops that are inside, aren't they? So,
right.
Yeah, you're spot on there, mate.
They do the same thing here, or they called them arcades. They're the original. I call them the malls. The old Victorian malls, era malls, because the arcade, it was like an indoor, it was inside of a building like we know a normal building, and usually they were multi-stories, and you had an open area in the middle, but then you had like walkways on the side, and you could you had the shops. There's a great example in Cleveland, Ohio, of an arcade. It's still there today.
Yeah.
Very, very amazing looking building.
Just trying to get this for you so you can understand that what I was trying to describe to you, just so people can get it.
All right.
Because when I'm saying it, people are like, "What is this geezer going on about?" Eh?
Hey, hippie shake, I see you there.
Easy, Tiger. Right.
And there's maggots in here too. This is the guy I was telling you about. If you see this guy, pay attention to him, because he's somebody I think you could learn some things from. I know he's taught some things. Okay.
Right. So I think on this side here, on this side is the sea, and on this side is the arches. It goes. It goes round to the arches. All right.
Okay.
And above that is the hotel that I was on about.
All right.
It's hard. It's the other way around. But then it goes. Hang on a minute. But you can see the high street is above all that. Can you see it? So you see this building here, this brown building, that's the start of the high street. And that's about 30, 40 foot above where I'm standing now. Yeah. And where I'm at is on sea level behind me.
Mm-hmm. I'll here.
See that little door there, Beaks, in the middle, little blue one?
Yeah.
That's the one that used to say arcade above it. But now they've shut it up and painted it all.
Huh.
Yeah. So that went underneath. That would actually go directly underneath the whole of the high street. Because the high street's just behind us.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so weird because, and I don't know, and maybe you have more thoughts about this than I try to stay in America because I'm here, and I understand it better. I don't understand your history as well as I do mine, for obvious reasons, just like vice versa. And so when I'm looking at like what kind of transpired, it seems to me that in the early 18, like around 1850, that there's this mass wave of people coming from Europe over here. So it makes me think that there was an event that took place that that what happened over here didn't happen at the same time over there. Yeah, but then something, it's almost like they came up from underground around 1800, 1850, and then migrated over here, because you've got that weird time frame in the early 1800s where people were kind of they're doing weird stuff, like they're taking building chimneys and burning their house down. I don't think that's what happened. I think they were trying to light fires in chimneys that weren't chimneys, and they burned their house down. And then there's this other thing about how, I don't know if you've heard of this, where the stairs were not made right. And so they realized that the way the stairs were made, they were too close together and people were falling up and down them and breaking their necks. And so they went in and had to redo the I forget what's called, the stringers of the stairs, that they were not laid out right. And so they had to redo these because the stairs were basically going like that. And so then they had to change them. And that's like in your history. And so it makes me wonder, like they came into these houses and threw some stairs up because they needed to get up to these high ceilings up to the next floor, but then they didn't know how to build stairs, so they built the stairs wrong, and then people started breaking their necks, so then they had to come up with this formula of how to build a stringer. I don't know. It's Absolute History is a great channel to watch for your country, because you can find a lot of interesting old
Absolute History,
stuff. That's a great channel because they look into the old history of Victorians, and I've learned a lot of interesting things. They've got another good video on they've got a great video on chimneys. They've got a great video on asbestos, which I think is old world, because, and I'll tell you why. I think that if you look at the buildings that we have, asbestos in America is in everything. It was in the floors, in the walls, in the this and the that. It was all in these buildings. Well, if these buildings are old world, okay, and the coverings were old world, then that means that the old world used the asbestos coverings, like the floor coverings. Well, why did they do that?
It's fireproofing, isn't it? That's what they used asbestos for, fireproofing. So I get what you're saying. So maybe like you've got the original structure, and then maybe they've put some rendering or some sort of internal rendering over the wall that's got the asbestos in it, because it's fireproofing. That's what they use it for.
And then you got the lead paint thing where all the walls were lead paint, and then now the lead paint's falling or is chipping off. But here's the thing. Well, lead couldn't that be used maybe for an etheric energy?
Yeah,
of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, someone sent me some images from an old book from the 1850s the last couple of days, and it's got some really, really interesting stuff in it. It's got it's talking about three types of mercury. So you've got the red. We don't talk about red mercury, but it talks about the silver mercury and another mercury that's healthy for you, good for you. And it was a medicine book. And it had another name for this mercury. It's called mercury something else. So I think when we're sitting here saying we're taking all this mercury back in the day, we're getting it mistaken for the mercury that we know now. If that makes sense. But there was actually two types of mercury, excluding the red mercury. There's up to two other types. So you've got the poisonous one and one that healed you.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you them images over, mate. After.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, mercury is definitely a key component to this thing that we're dealing with. There's no doubt. It was definitely removed from the history. They made us fear it for some reason. They didn't want us
definitely.
to know.
And that's how they make you not go near something, mate. They make you fear it, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Don't go near it. It's dangerous. It's going to kill you.
Absolutely. Another thing I think is part of this cover up is speakeasies in America, where they had the prohibition and everybody was making the underground speakeasies. And I think that is just a way to say, oh, well, we built a bar down there. That's why that's down there. It's just another cover up.
Mate, what's a speakeasy?
A bar. In Prohibition, do you know about that in America? In the 30s, they came up with Prohibition and they said, okay, alcohol is illegal.
Oh, yeah, this was because cars could run on alcohol, wasn't it?
That was one of the reasons, yeah.
Yeah.
So they made it illegal that you couldn't drink any alcohol, but of course you tell people what not to do, and that's the first thing they're going to do. So then it all went underground, and they came up with these bars called speakeasies. Speak easy about keep your mouth shut about them.
Yeah.
And they were underground in the underground levels are all around the country. And so they're finding them today. You'll go down there, and a matter of fact, today they're opening up a lot of the old ones as bars today. It's become a thing.
Wow, I'd love to go in there, especially they keep the old decor on there. That'd be wicked, mate. They're doing a thing in London at the minute. They're doing tours at the minute in the old shut down underground stations. And there's one of them, I can't remember the name of it. It might be Strand, but they've got all the old posters on the wall from the war. I know it's all propaganda and that, but it'd be good to still see them up there on the wall 70 years later. They've got the old tickets. Apparently, there's even old tickets on the floor, but that could just be props where people have just done it to make it seem like old.
But I know I was going to ask you about I love that channel, Secret Vault. He gets into some gnarly stuff. So I keep my eye on that geezer.
Yeah.
But he got into one recently, and I can't remember the name. I've got it on. I can send it to you if you need it. Where it was there's a like a cliffside. Well, there's a like a river and a cliffside, and then there's an entrance, and it was a theater. But it's in this. They had this like vernacular in the underground, inside the hill, and then now they turned it into a theater. And like, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I must have missed this one, but it sounds right up my street.
It is whacked out, man. You got to see that. It is really, really like high level weirdness.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
I'll get it to you.
Yeah,
I don't
nice
know
one,
what
mate.
it's called. But it was the Secret Vault, no doubt. And it was pretty recent, within the past 2 months.
Yeah, I know he's been in Bristol lately, hasn't he? He's done he's done a whole series in Bristol, so it might be in Bristol. That
It might be. I've got it. I can get it to you. But that was really weird, really high weirdness. What was going on there? What would you put a funicular inside of a cliff? I don't want to say it was a mountain because I can't remember if it was like a mountain, but it was like a cliff. It's like 50, 60 foot tall. And then they had this inside, they had a funicular, and then they took the funicular. You know what a funicular is, right?
no, go on.
A funicular is it's like imagine a mountain, and you've got a train track running down it, and then you've got either a trolley running up it or a platform that goes up like that.
Yeah.
And it runs the trolley up the
we
hill.
call them cliff lifts in England.
Okay.
Cliff lift. I've got one in Southend actually. There's
Yeah,
one where I live.
they were really popular at one point.
Yeah. Victorian, isn't it? It's Victorian's sort of like pleasure stuff. Yeah. Our one still works in Southend.
I like that place. Also, y'all have I forget the name of it, where you had the trolley that went over the water.
Oh, that is in Brighton. That's in Brighton.
Yes.
Daddy Longlegs. The electrical
Daddy
train.
Longlegs. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That thing's really
mad,
cool.
Mate. That is some of the stuff, eh?
There's an excellent channel. I don't remember the name of it, but it's a Mexican mudflooder creator, and he makes some really interesting content. I don't speak a word of Spanish, but I can watch his videos and learn a lot just by watching them.
Really?
Yeah, I can get you the channel.
Yeah, do that, man.
It's like Mente Alberte or something like that. Is the channel name? I don't remember exactly, but he does some phenomenal work, and you don't even have to speak the language to get it.
Yeah,
if you're a mudflooder,
you see it, didn't you? You see it.
Yeah, it's really, really, really good stuff.
Yeah, big up Art Dino. Big up, man.
Yeah. Hey, Dino. I hear Campbell, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're having Dino on this Friday.
Correct really?
I think
interesting.
So. We were talking about that. Mate. Let's see, Brian Evans. Just checking out some of these comments. Hey, JJ, you got any starred comments? Let's see. She's looking at me like, what? What are you talking about?
As it's a resin. There you go. Geopolymer won't erode as it's a resin. I don't know about that because I've seen loads of eroded geopolymer, especially in South America. You see it.
How old is it?
Yeah, but it erodes. That's the thing. It erodes.
Because it's like another thing is like people are asking like, well, how old are these buildings? And the oldest that we know that brick can last is 500 years, but they don't know. They have no idea how long a brick can last.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It is true, though. It really is. Paul, granite doesn't erode. It's a resin, and it's a plant, not lime. You need to set it. Right. I've got it right here, my friend. Right here. I made that out of myself, granite.
Good.
Solid.
It's plant. What? Explain that to me, because I don't.
Explain it to me, because I am new in this game. So tell me what you mean, mate. Because whatever you just said was wrong, because I've got a solid bit of granite there, mate.
I didn't understand. I that's out of my wheelhouse. I don't understand.
Solid.
It's interesting though. When people say stuff like that, I wonder.
Sorry, I'm just banging it as hard as I can so you can hear that it's no Mickey Mouse. If I did it with this part, this one here that I made, this crumbles. But listen to the difference in that.
There's a maggot talking about lay your GOP on the flower trowel quartz and nice rock in, hit it with the diamonds cutter, then 35 grit honing stone, then resin polish. Whoa. I hope you understood that.
Don't. Lay your GOP on a flower trail quartz, a nice rock in, a nice, that don't make sense. Hit it with the diamond cutters. What, an angle grinder, you mean? Then 35 grid honing stone, mate. I don't know what. Listen, don't talk to me like I'm an expert, because I've told you before, I've only been learning this for 6 months. So when you come up with honing stone, don't know what that means. Don't know what that means, mate.
Yeah, this is the guy I was telling you about that knows a lot about masonry. So he knows a lot of stuff that I don't really understand, but I know he knows.
Out, brother.
Yeah. Give more, because that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. I'd like to know. I genuinely want to know what you're saying, but I don't get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Towns today still get caught out on mudslides, usually taking away tree lines, landslips. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because Southend, they had a mudslide actually about 10 years ago.
That's pretty cool. Let's see. I tell you what. Let's give me a second here. Let's see. Let's take a quick break here. Okay.
Right. Mate, look, can I just tell people now to stop telling me what to do when I'm playing with ingredients myself, just to play with ingredients. That's all I'm doing. I'm not looking to make a replica of anything. I'm just seeing what happens when I add chemicals to this and this happens. That's all I'm doing. I'm not trying to make a masterpiece. I don't care about all that. I'm just playing with chemicals myself. So please stop telling me what I'm doing and not doing right and wrong.
Yeah. Hey, let's take a break real quick.
It really is.
Okay.
What's that?
Let's take a break real quick. Okay.
Why?
Just a second. Okay, that was LC King. Go like and subscribe to LC King's channel. He does a lot of interesting research on his channel as well. He made that music, and I made that music video for him, and he's also a patron of mine. So go check him out and give him a like and a sub. Anyways, okay.
Mate. You didn't hear me, did you?
I had to step outside for a minute. Well, that hitting the wrong button. Buttons aren't toys. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of people that can add to what you're trying. I understand you're trying to like do your own like playing, as you call it, but it's really serious stuff you're doing, I think. But there's also people out there that can add to your research.
No, so people
open to that,
Mate, listen, someone's helping me. I don't need help from anyone else. The people
Mr.
that are trying to help me, people that are trying to help me don't understand what I'm doing. They hear Paul's making geopolymer and see what I'm doing and go, oh, he's doing it all wrong. I don't actually understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Like, there's reasons behind why I'm doing it, and I don't want no one else involved.
The way you're doing it. Yeah. Why you're doing it, the way you're doing it.
Exactly. And the reason I'm doing this one is because I'm going around a lot of red sandstone structures, hence why I'm doing this. Like,
gotcha.
Never mind. I'm just on my own little path. If I want to know the ingredients and all of that stuff, if I ever wanted to like that in one hit, without me doing the research, because for me that's the best part, doing it all yourself and working it out yourself. Where's the fun in it if someone goes boom? So
right.
You want to know the answers, that geezer should set a channel up and go and make videos.
You want to make your own mistakes.
I just want to do it myself. I like to play with the materials myself.
You learn from your mistakes more than you learn from.
Do you know how much I've learned from making this myself? So when I made this, I've learned so much. Not about making it, about looking out for it when I'm out on sites.
Yeah,
I've noticed so many little things that go wrong with these that I notice on site and think, oh bloody hell, this must be geopolymer. If this has happened here, then it's happened at home, it must be geopolymer.
Something that's got me scratching my head is when you're talking about the services in the walls and like the pipes and the electrical, and like you see these cutouts, and to me that's like, what in the hell is going on there? Because that is really strange.
Yeah, I know, and there is still some places in Malta that have got cables and pipes in there. Sodium silicates, yeah, that's what I use. Sodium silicate. And again, there's an array of ingredients you can use. There's so many different ingredients. There's so many different concoctions you can do. I'm literally playing with 3 ingredients.
That's so cool. So, in your opinion, what, in a nutshell, what do you think happened in our past? What kind of event, and do you have any kind of ideas as to when it played out or how it played out, or do you have any like glimmers of inspiration that you can give us from your research?
I think we're constantly being reset over a long period of time. I think it's constantly been going on as well.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like that these resets don't happen overnight as well. So they happen over a long period of time. So you don't sit there and wake up and go, everything's changed. You get used to everything changing over a period of time. Because if you did that, imagine telling everyone what the world's going to be like in 5 years. You wouldn't like it, would you? But if you live it every day and then you get to be, then you're like, oh wow, I'm here. So it is like that.
Adjust to it.
Yeah, you adjust to it. So it's done over time.
It's like those underground caverns. Those weren't dug overnight.
No.
So there had to be planning. So that it's almost like they knew something was coming, or things were getting worse, or they knew it was coming. They had time and they said, we need to dig. We need to dig now. And they started digging, but that digging took years.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do. I mean, you're finding where they used machines. So maybe they had machines, but I'm sorry, even still with machines, it'd be a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm. It really would. But part of me thinks as well, like the machine marks we see might not be where they've cut the stones. It might be where they've took the render off the wall, or they've got it.
Explain render to me in layman's terms.
Right, render is right. There's 2 types. You've got internal and external. Right, so internal is like. say if you put a plasterboard up,
Okay.
yeah, plasterboard wall, and then on top of that, you render over that, didn't you? And then you can paint that. Plaster. Internal is plaster, external is render. Do you get that?
So you mean the
I
paint
think
is
you
the
might
render?
call it stucco in your country.
Well, the old buildings, the way they did it was they had a plank system. Okay, you had the 2x4s, then you had the planks running up the wall that were like little 1-inch planks, and then over that they put the plaster, which was really hard, and then they would paint that.
Yeah,
I think that's how it was, but there might have been another layer. I don't know.
there would have been. Yeah, so normally you're meant to plaster the plasterboard, so you don't have no joints. So you tape and joint that, and then you seal it all up, don't you, with a plaster, and that's like the finishing touch before you decorate it. Right. So that is the same as in mortar, because when I was outside Valletta, outside one of the tunnels, there's actually a massive piece of. This one's not called render, it's called terrazzo. So it's like it's a conglomerate of stones, basically, and it's a decoration. And there's one piece of it stuck outside of a tunnel in Malta. So that tells you that the whole place, not the whole place, but most parts were covered in that stuff. And inside, you can see, like, there's a couple of videos I've done in Valletta again. I poked my head in some of the cave houses with a camera, and you can see where it's gone from the limestone wall to completely flush, painted white, plastered, or render.
There's OG Scotty. Hey OG, I saw your video just recently that you put you put my name on it to, I guess, so I could see it. I did see it just recently though.
Yeah, do you know what? I've known OG Scotty for about 2 years now. This geezer.
Ah.
Yeah. I've always seen this geezer popping up, mate. So big up, OG. Skid Row interviews, yep.
Yep, he I think my understanding is he used to live on the street, and now he's off the street, and he does Skid Row interviews where he goes and talks to the people out there. That situation, I don't know if y'all have the same problem, but we have a major problem with homeless in America. It is out of hand.
Yeah, we've got it in England, man. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible.
I made a video about it, and YouTube took it down. They wouldn't having it. It's on BitChute, but they certainly weren't having it.
In England, I think there's I can't remember it, but I can't talk about it over here. Sorry, I won't.
So you think that there's been multiple resets?
Multiple resets. I can go even deeper than that, but you've got to think we're crackers, mate.
Go.
I think it seems like we're some sort of experiment, basically. That's what it seems like, and it seems like there's been different beings here before us. That's what it seems like.
I could go with that. Yeah. What do you think about the simulation theory? Do you think? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do push towards the simulation theory, to be honest with you, because it answers a lot of questions. What come first, the chicken or the egg?
I've always thought that it was a simulation, but I've just more recently come to the realization that I've always looked at it not as a computer simulation, but as the creator's simulation, mind simulation.
Yeah.
The creator thinks it, therefore it is.
Yeah.
And that the creator has created the simulation from the mind of the creator. I call God the creator. And this simulation is what we live in, what we call the universe, what we call our reality.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only been recently with the Mudflood research that I've realized that there's probably a possibility that this simulation, God just changes it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have noticed that everything, I started with my Mudflood research at looking at buildings that were built before 1900, but I kept seeing the same anomaly over and over again, where there were buildings that were built after 1900 that were just as mud flooded and just as old world as the ones before 1900. So then I zoned in on it even more and looked closer down that telescope, at that microscope, and looked at it at more, what am I really seeing here? And from my determination, I've determined that I figured that everything before 1943 is old world. that looks old world. Not everything, not every single structure, but if you look at a structure and it looks old world and it's mud flood and it's got all the telltale signs of mud flood, that it's probably an old world structure. And then I have the what I call the anomalies, where I have two different mud flood style old world buildings that are mud flooded on the same property, the same piece of land. And you can't have both. But I think what happened is that it's possible that in 1943, during the Philadelphia experiment, that they messed with the matrix or the simulation in some way, because that's when they did that. But if you look before 1940, and I challenge you to do this, all of you, look at buildings built before 1943, and then look at buildings after 1943, and there's a distinct change. So look out for that. I'm not saying
I will. I always love adding little things to look out for. Always. So I will look out for that. Definitely, mate.
I guess my point is, keep an open mind to every structure that you research before 1943. If you open up that parameter to that time frame, it's going to open up your research and take you places you just didn't realize you could go. So give it a chance.
Roger that.
Oh, let's see. Mona Lisa probably in a cage somewhere down in the Vatican. They've got to have good stuff. I saw somewhere the other day where some kids, they threw soup on Van Gogh's sunflowers. Did you see that?
No.
In the
they what, over the painting?
Yeah, in the museum. Oh, and then they put super glue on their hands and they glued their hands to the walls.
Wow, these kids
gone nutter butters.
That's unbelievable. Then paintings are like all that years old, and you got some snotty little nosed kid come along.
And they were protesting something that probably didn't have anything to do with Van Gogh. But even Van Gogh, I mean, like the old Renaissance paintings, for example, I don't know if that's a Renaissance painting, but the Renaissance paintings, like your Michelangelos and your Da Vinci's, I mean, those are probably old world stuff. I mean, I've got a book over here, if you hadn't seen it, it's called like 1427 or something like that, and it talks about how the Chinese came to America.
1421 it's called, isn't it?
14, yeah, that might be it. Well, he did two books.
Oh,
there's 1421, and then there's another one. I think it's 1427. But that book, in the book, it shows where Da Vinci got all his inspiration for his mechanicals from the Chinese. And then what he did was he took an idea that they had made a little crappy stick figure drawing, and then he made these elaborate, wonderful renders of what he had seen. Now, that doesn't mean he actually did it, but there's proof that the Chinese made the drawings, at least, of the inventions that are attributed to Leonardo da Vinci.
That's interesting, because another thing as well, I've seen that the paintings that these guys were painting back in the day, they're using different paints. Did you know about this? Yeah. Like, I don't want to go too much into detail because I don't know too much. I've just skimmed that topic, but it's
stuff we can't even understand today. Like, they don't even know how it was made.
Yeah. So, like, what were they doing back then, eh? And what's happened to us? Like I said, we've been reset and condensed to what we know now. That's it. That's all we got. That's all we got now.
Did you see that camera thing that I showed? Not camera, but that mechanical. It's like a prism, and it's on a stand. And what you do is you look through the prism, and you see up here. You see the whatever you're looking at. Let it a person or a building or whatever, a landscape, and then you look down, and it shows that on the paper, and then you can trace that out on the paper to scale the paper, and then you can take that and paint it or draw it, or you can. It's called Dino. If you're still here, Artadino, if you're still here, I was telling you about it, and I know you knew what I was talking about. I can't remember the name of it, but
But they had these optical things that you're talking about, mate. When I was doing some research on the old Victorian seafronts, because they were places of pleasure, they used to have these things. So you used to go into this little round rotunda place, yeah, and in there they'd have some little lens poking out the top, and you'd go in and you'd look through the bottom lens. No. It would portray the picture into the screen onto a table in the middle. So you can see everywhere outside.
Same idea, but it's different. It is a little different. It's I know what you're talking about. I think that's called the camera obscura. If I'm not
mistaken. Yeah. It's from the Victorian times.
This one is actually okay. The one you're talking about, you have to be in an enclosed space, and it's got to be dark, and then the light comes through. This one you can do out in the middle of. You can go out in a field and look at a building and just sketch out this building perfectly.
Wow.
It's like, example, if you took a picture of a building and you put it up on your LCD screen, then you took a piece of paper and you take the paper to the screen, you could trace that building out perfectly and then bring it down and then paint it or fill it in with charcoal or pencil or Crayola markers, whatever you want. It'd be perfect because you had a perfect outline.
That's crazy, man. We've been missing. We've lost out on stuff, haven't we? We really have lost out on stuff. Like when I after this speaks, I'll send you the stuff I've got for the old medicine, the electrical medicine, mate. It's going to knock your socks off.
Electrical medicine. Wow.
Curing, and what do you mean? Curing and water content.
Yeah, I didn't understand it either.
That's what I mean. You can't keep coming in with these one-liners, mate. You need to be a bit more.
Well, I'm going backwards, so he's saying something.
I'll tell you what, going back to the water, this one I made here. No, not this one. I actually dipped one in water, and it come out very, very strong. But I've got loads of little mess up ones here. But this one I dipped in water, and this has come out very strong again. But before I dipped it in water, it wasn't that strong because obviously I've made about 15 of these now and just like played with them, tested strengths.
Have you done any like pressure tests where they take that press?
That's what I need to do on this. I need to do that on this. I don't know where to get the tool from. I'd love to have the tool or take it into a shop where you could do it.
I know how you do it.
This and this, these two here.
I got you. I know how you get it accomplished, and you're going to have to. This is how you do it. There's a channel on YouTube that all they do is put stuff in their press and film it. If you can get a hold of that guy and say, "Hey, I got something I want you to do," and they'll test it out. They'd be willing to do it because they need different things to test with.
Yeah, I was thinking about going down the scrapyard because they press the metal together there, didn't they? And I think it comes up with the pressure they're using. Like before the main man comes and collects it all.
Yeah, but how would you get the camera in there to film it?
No, it's done in front of you. It's done in front of you. I've seen that done. So
okay.
The only other thing I think it might be too powerful for this. This is what I'm saying because this is used to crush.
Well, what I'm talking about, the guy has a way of filming it, and it comes down on whatever you're doing, and it'll put pressure on it, and it's got a meter, and it tell you exactly the pressure it takes to crumble.
Yeah, I'd love to do that on these two. Definitely this one though. This is the main one. This is the strongest one. So I'd love to do it with this one.
That's wild stuff.
It is, and that's just sand, shells, and liquid glass. That's all it is.
Where do you where do you think the research should go from here? What do you think the next? Where do you think the answers lie? You know, what direction do we go?
I don't think there's no direction you can go. Even if we did work this out, what can you do with it? It's just nothing you can do. Like it's just literally, we can spread it around our little community ourselves, and that's it. Like whatever I say ain't going to change humanity. It's not going to change the history books. It's not going to do nothing. But for me, I know up here. So it's just peace of mind. Peace of mind, and share the information in a community of people that want to know it. That's it, really. There's nothing you can do with it. There's nothing. If I was to go mainstream, I'd probably get shut down.
Oh yeah. So
I can't progress or do anything. You know what I mean? I can just do what I'm doing.
You know, me and Cam were talking about this the other night, and he made a good point. Is that when I first woke up, I was reading, you know, Eric Van Doniken and all these guys that were talking about Graham Hancock, and you know, they were talking about the ancient aliens theory, and I was interested in not the alien aspect, but I was interested in the architecture that was there, the, you know, the stone, megalithic stone things and stuff like that. And so that's why I read their materials. And he was talking about how later those same people were used in the Ancient Aliens series. And whereas we know that's bullshit, but those guys, even though they were going from the ancient astronauts theory, there's still something to that research they're doing, that there's these megalithic structures all around the world and nobody knows who built them or how they built them. And so he was talking about how we're kind of those guys, like people like Campbell and Levy and you and I and these guys that are doing the Mudflood Tartarian style research are those guys back before Ancient Aliens show, and that there might be a show in the future where we might have a mainstream presence. Now, that's not something I look forward to, but
I know one of my
like Campbell looks forward to, and you know, other people. I don't want to be. That's not me, but I'm a little guy. I like being a little guy.
Yeah. So I hear you. But I did actually sell one of my Bosnian documentary to.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
I keep forgetting the name of the TV program. The Truth Is Out There. That's the name of it. The Truth Is Out There on. I think it's on the History Channel. So they emailed me about a week ago today, actually, saying to check out tonight, Eastern time, 10 p.m.
What channel is that?
History. It's called the History Channel on Sky.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if my episode's going to be on tonight or
it's called Truth. What? The Truth Is Out There. I don't know if I've heard of that show.
Yeah, it's called The Truth Is Out There, and it's on Sky History Channel. And I was emailed last week saying that the show's premiering this week, as in last week, and thanks to everyone for the production. So I looked last week and it weren't on last week, but I think it's a 6 episode series sort of thing. So I could be on tonight, next week, the week after, or
okay.
I might just be on an automated message and they just emailed me. So I don't know.
So you don't know how to promote it?
I don't know how to promote it now, but that video, I don't own it no more. I'm allowed to play it on YouTube, but that's it.
Oh, okay. So you can't sell the rights to it again.
Well, yeah.
Well, and you know, you never know what these people are going to do with your work. They could
be taking a mick out of it, Beaks. They put it like, do you know what I mean? I'm not bothered because I know that it's going to say Paul Cook, and then there's going to be some people that will go there and subscribe. So,
and that's the best you can hope for. Yeah.
Definitely. And I looked at them; they got 10 million subscribers on their channel, mate. So if it gets played on there, in my eyes, I've had it off.
That's good. That's really good stuff.
Yeah.
I hope that helps. You know, I hope that your channel gets bigger because you're the kind of person that needs to have that backing so that you can move around and check out these crazy places that you want to investigate. You don't need to be hampered by, damn, I don't have the funds to fly to such and such, or the train ride or the bus ride or the gas to get there or the petrol. You know, you need to be uninhibited from going the places you want to go. I mean, within reason. I mean,
of course. And I think if
you don't need a jet.
That would if I get to 100, I reckon that could fund it. That could easily fund it. So I'm halfway there. At the minute, I can get around the UK and I can have a look and bring that side of stuff. But when I get to the 100, that's when I can go around the world.
And I see it easily happening because you look at Levy, he's on the precipice of 250,000 subscribers. that means that there is a minimum of 250,000 people that want to hear the information that we are putting out.
Yep.
That's
Spot on.
your viewer base right there. It's just
Yeah.
why those people don't sub you too is really weird. I don't understand that.
It's because I did a horrible remark, didn't I, mate? That's what it was all about.
No. I've made horrible remarks.
It wasn't even a horrible remark. I'm just calling that because that's what everyone says. It was actually just my opinion.
You had an opinion, and you know what? The day we stop having our own opinion is the day we're not telling our truths. So, I mean, we should be respectful in giving our opinion, but we should also give our opinion because, man, if we're holding our tongues all the time, we're never going to get anywhere. I mean, sometimes we have to step on each other's toe. You might call me up one day and be like, "Bees, what are you talking about, you crazy nutter?" You know, and you know what? That's okay because you might be right.
What I've learned, mate,
know.
one thing I've learned is through that whole saga is that everyone thinks completely different. Everyone's different. So you might like this, you might like that, but then you don't like 100 things that I don't like. So we're just getting brought together on one or two things, and then everyone's basing your fake relationship or friendship on that. And as soon as you fall out on one thing, say me and you, Mudflood, oh, we don't like it, boom. People don't talk to each other after that. You think, well, what's that about? Like, we're human. We're mates. Like, just because we have a disagreement on something, don't mean we have to have an argument or we fall out or we have to get people hating on each other. It's just opinions, mate. And you got that famous saying, didn't you? Every opinion is like a bumhole, mate. If you don't like it, it's gonna stink.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, what can you say? What do you mean to do? Go around and not say nothing?
You know, we've been working on behind the scenes, you and Cam and I, about starting this communications behind the scenes thing, and we're kind of the start of it, I guess. But we've been enjoying it behind the scenes over the past week, just communicating research and jokes and just sharing camaraderie with each other because we need the support. We're in a position that it's hard. We got a lot of great people that follow us. So we also got a lot of people that are really not good people that mess with us, and we need the support to talk about these things. So it's really helpful.
Well, I noticed it changed my psyche. Like for the last month, it really did change my mentality. Like I was getting attacked, mate. Like emails, WhatsApps, like telegrams. People are coming in my Telegram group, literally just like saying horrendous things, and you think, "Flipping hell, man! Like, give me a break." You know what I mean?
I don't even I don't mind just ignoring people, like telling them piss off or blocking them. I don't care if you're not coming at me with love and light. I'm an empath. I feel whether you could be saying, "Hey, Viggs, you're the greatest person in the world," but I know you feel like I'm an asshole. I'll feel it. Okay, I know it empathically. So you're not fooling me, and you'll be gone because I already see you coming. I see you coming before you're here. It's got Creator gave me that sixth sense, and
so I think that's why I give it to. Well, I piped up about John a bit because of all the just the amount of I was getting some grief, and then I thought, well, I took that mentality with John Levy, if that makes sense. Like I shouldn't have spoke about him like that. Really, I should have been a bit more subtle, I guess. But because I was getting all the flack from before, it just made me go into that conversation aggressively a bit, And I get that a lot. I find myself speaking to people aggressively, and I'm like,
but I'm glad you did because I did not I was focusing on other things he said in that video, and I didn't even catch what you caught. And so when you caught that, it made me go back and review. Well, wait a minute, what's he talking about? Because he saw something I didn't see, and then I understood what you were saying. It was like, yeah, you're right. That is interesting. But then he kind of, I think, clarified it more. I think what he was saying about that. I think you were saying that he was saying that like there's nothing in America that's worth looking at or something? Is that kind of the gist of it?
That's how I felt. That's what I felt.
I think what he clarified it in the next video, his last video, I think what he clarified it to what he was saying was that what was here is so hard to see now because it's been destroyed and hidden and covered over, and now you can't really see it like you can still see it in your area. So maybe he just misspoke when he said it originally. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. But I did send him a video of loads of ancient sites in Utah.
Oh, it's packed. But I think he knows that though. That's the thing. I think he misspoke.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have said that to him anyway. Like I said, because I had the mentality of being having people give it to me. So when I go and have a conversation with someone, I find myself a bit aggressive. Not because I want to be aggressive towards that person. It's because of the flack I've just had from the person before.
Which is why the behind the scenes communication that we
shut the front door. What? Can you read that chat?
What am I looking at? What's it start with?
Ross. Wow.
I don't see it. Oh, this? Oh. I was watching the start with Ross.
Sorry, it's in the private one, I think, mate.
What are we doing? Oh, Britain's history. Ross passed. Why does that sound familiar?
I watch Ross I watch Ross after my Sundays, like 8 p.m. How did that happen?
Explain who he is, because that name sounds familiar.
Oh, he does a hidden history channel in Britain. So he's like, I think he's half Welsh and English. And him and his sons, they play the recorders online. They go out and do bits.
That's not the guy that does the walkabouts, is it? That
he does do walkabouts as well, yeah.
That walks towns and does stories in the towns?
No, you're thinking of someone else. Yeah. Okay. Someone called John, I think that is.
But I like him. He's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure I know who that is. But you know who it is.
Yeah.
So he must have passed away recently, today or something.
Yeah, but that must have been very sudden. I shouldn't even talk about it. I won't talk about it.
Wow. Well, going back, what I was saying is that this behind the scenes conversation, if we had, say, Levy in there,
wow,
we would be able to like you would have been able to hit up Levy behind the scenes and ask him your question in a way that was unintrusive. It would have been on a friend level, and I think it would have helped.
Huh? I tried all this, mate. I tried all that. I emailed him on not an email, on Facebook. I messaged him on Facebook.
Well, I have the same problem now, but I'm saying what Cam and I are trying to do is create this behind the scenes network for the creators that we can stop these things from happening, so we can have, if I see you say something I don't quite understand it, and I want to know more, instead of calling you out publicly, I can hit you on the bat channel and I can say, hey, Paul, what are you saying here? And you can just explain it to me in a way that I can understand, and then we can get on the same page. I don't have to agree or disagree with you.
Yeah, I think that's great,
because I would rather do that than to come out and say, okay, Paul made this video and I don't understand a damn bit of it. This sounds crazy to me. What are you talking about, Paul? And then you watching damn, why is Biggs attacking me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's not how it should be. Like that, man. It really does make sense like that. I admit, I'm not going to say sorry for voicing my opinion, but I admit I made a mistake for going around it that way. Maybe I should have tried contacting him again in a different way. But because he didn't respond to me, he didn't respond in the emails, the Facebook. I got nothing, so I thought, right, let's do it this way.
He does the same thing to me.
See if you respond that way.
I've got him on speed dial, and he won't pick up. I mean, it's not
crazy, man.
That's no good. I know. I get it. I totally get it. What's the guy? The guy's name's Ross, or has he got a first name? Or
It's Ross. Ross, yeah, Ross. I think
What's
that
his-
might be his link. Is that his link down there? I don't want to click it in case they come off.
well, what's it? I mean, what's his name? Ross, or is it Ross something?
I think it's just Ross. That's all I know. Ross.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go look it up. I'm not going to show any videos on here that are we're copyright free tonight, so you can post this on your channel without copyright. There's no copyright. That song I played earlier by LC King, copyright free, no copyright.
Oh, wicked.
So you don't have to worry about none of that shit.
Well, so yeah, all right, wicked.
Yeah, yeah. Now you know me, I like to play my copyrighted music a lot, but I when I want to, I can not do that. I'm prepared to do that when I need to.
What I might do, Beags, is I might go and do some boots on ground around my area, because I'm going to try and get in some nooks and crannies. There's little bits of gaps and pieces between bridges and buildings around where I live.
Well, I think it would be helpful for you if I like maybe when we do the viaducts talk on your channel, that maybe we can look at whatever area you want to look at, and I can look at from the Google and give you my opinion as to what I think is check this out, check that out. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just showed you in London, but you said you wanted to check out your area.
I want to do both. I want to do both, mate. But okay. But London's 30 miles from me, by the way. For me to go to London, it's 20 quid on the train, and it's 40 minutes on the train up there, 40 minutes back. There's no point in driving because the traffic is horrendous.
Right? Yeah, I've heard.
So it's just literally get the train, and it's.
I used to have a friend that was her father was from America and her mother was from England, and she came over when her mother and father separated. She came with her father, and her brother stayed with her mother. But I became friends with her, and she's the only girl that could ever drink me under the table. But we had so much fun together. She was just a great gal, a good friend, and man, she could really put it down.
Whereabouts was she from then?
Where she was from London somewhere. I don't know more details than that, but yeah, she was a great gal. But
yeah, it's a nightmare, man. It's tricky for me to get to London. It's not tricky, but it's a long process.
I looked into the where I was asking you, I think it was about the Jack the Ripper site. And I looked into what they did was they have destroyed it. The specific one I was asking about, because they had pavement light there. They've actually completely removed it, and it's now modern office buildings.
Yeah. So again, when I worked around that area, because when I was doing the maintenance, it was all around Whitechapel. So Brick Lane and Whitechapel are boom like that. So I was going around all of that area. I don't think there's actually any houses left, is there?
I think there might be a few remnants, but most of it is gone.
Yeah,
I think it was just crappy buildings, and they just had to go. I mean,
yeah. And one thing actually, when I actually saying that, I went into one of the not houses to do with the murders, but a house along the same street. And mate, the stairs were so skinny and small going up. It was tiny, mate. And it was the same buildings, because I was doing a job in Westminster, and it's Barton Street, really rich house, like £3.5 million house, but it's only 2 stories. But again, you've got the really skinny stairs, wooden steps going up like that, and it was like,
were they really high? Like,
yes, exactly, just like Amsterdam as well.
On that channel I was telling you about earlier, brain fart.
The English one. I've got it written here. Absolute History. Yeah.
Absolute History. They did a show where they were talking about how the stairs were they had to redo the angle of the stairs, and it's really weird. So you really should go check that out, because not only does that is your history, but I think there's something to. Here's the way I look at it. I kind of think that maybe these buildings were designed for taller people, and what happens is that the stairs were different, and we came in and we needed stairs, so we didn't know how to make stairs, so we made stairs, but they were wrong.
Yeah.
And so we realized they were wrong because we kept breaking our necks. And so we redid the stairs and came up with the modern equation to learn how to build stringers. But it's just really weird. Why would you build stairs that you couldn't walk up and down without breaking your neck?
I don't know, but it's the same in Amsterdam though. All of the literally, it's like you crawl up the steps in Amsterdam, the stairs, because when you're standing there, the steps are in front of you there like that. It's like that. You literally like that. You can touch the steps in front of you as you're going up them.
I was watching Ewar's video yesterday, and he was going on about the stairs in the cathedrals, the kind that how they make a block, they're spiral, yeah. And he was saying, I can't get up and down on my fall down as I'm coming down. And he was saying there's no way that this was built by giants because I can't even get up and down them. And you know what it made me think of? I was thinking that those stairs were made after that we added the stairs, that they're small because we needed them.
Yeah.
And they were in a confined space, and we made them in a confined space for us, that they weren't for the giants. And that's it. Ewar, he's an idiot. He's a freaking idiot.
Yeah, well, I'm not commenting on. I think he's all right, but
I don't mind commenting.
No, he's all right. I think he's all right, but some of the stuff. But again, his research and my research contradict each other. Some of it, so I'm not. I'm not going to say nothing bad about him. I'm not going to say nothing bad about him. That's where I went wrong last time, mate, and I got a lot of hate for it. So
he does example of things he does. He'll say, okay, there's no melted buildings because look, here's clinker bricks. Well, clinker bricks, you have clinker bricks every time you fire bricks. My question isn't about clinker bricks. My question is, where are all the brick ovens to fire all the bricks for all the bricks that were made in the world at the time they said they were made? And there are no bricks. He'll say, we had brick manufacturing machines. So what? Where did you fire the bricks at? Because until you fire the brick, you don't have a brick. There's no brick.
True.
But he totally misses that. Completely goes past him, and tries to make us look like idiots when he doesn't do his own research,
You need to get him in that chat, in that group, Beags, and say to him, look, what's going on here, mate? Before you make a video on the geezer.
He's just, I don't know. I just think he made his original history of flat earth, whatever it's called. I mean, he took everybody's research. This is before my time, but he took everybody's research and collated it, made his own video, which is cool. But then he, pivoted and acted like, well, now I don't, agree with that research. Well, why didn't you do your own research to begin with, so you knew what you did or didn't agree with?
Yeah, it was a bit fishy, wasn't it?
Yeah, something
was a very bit fishy, man. That's all I will say. That was very fishy. Plus, there was another little thing. I'll say this: going to the Liverpool Cathedral. He said that was built in 1913, and he said there's pictures of people chiseling away on that. But when he was looking at because I've been there myself, the only way you can look at them pictures is if you go down in the basement of the cathedral, and they are shown on one wall like about 7 pictures. Mm-hmm. And I know that the last picture there is the picture that he didn't show, and that picture shows different windows in the background, and it shows you the same pillar. So that tells you that the place got renovated at that time because they changed the stained glass windows from one big. No, they were 3 in the single ones to one big one. But he kept that picture out because that one shows you that the place was renovated then, not built.
And I think Jared Boosters did a video on how he was thinking that the stained glass windows were removed and redone. And I think he's right about that. I think that the stained glass was redone. Huh?
Liverpool Cathedral?
No, he was saying in all the cathedrals.
Yeah. Probably is right. But in the Liverpool Cathedral, Liverpool Cathedral, though, I'll show you the picture. Side by side, you can see it was 3 big stained glass windows, and then they got rid of that and they put one big one there.
Yeah.
So that was when it was renovated.
I have a theory going to America is that they brought in what we call the Chinese immigrants, the migrant workers from China, that they brought them in, and instead of building the railroads, as they say, I think they were the ones that dug out the buildings and built the stairs and raised the windows and doors from the mud under the mud flood up. And I think that they were that's why we have Chinatowns all over America. Another thing I found is interesting in that Chinese immigrant history is that they had this haircut style where they would shave the top of the head and then they would have a long knot of hair coming down. And it was Chinese law from the emperor that if you cut that knot, if you cut that hair off the back of your head, you could not enter back into China. Wow. And so what would happen is these people would be brought over here. Their families would be in China. They would come over here to work, and they could not go back to their families if their hair was cut. And so it was like a stamp, like a branding. Mm-hmm. You were literally branded because they wanted to know who you were. And they say it's because they wanted to know who the Chinese immigrants were, but I think they wanted it was a way of saying, hey, come over here, do the work. I don't know if they were paid or not paid, but I imagine they were paid, but I also imagine they were forced to come over here, and probably from a war in the past. And then they were like, you're not going home until you finish this work, and you can go from the East Coast to the West Coast redoing these buildings. And then when you get to the West Coast, you're welcome to go back home, but you have to have your hair. If you don't have your hair, the emperor won't let you back into China, and you will never see your family again. It's a theory.
Yeah. It's mad though, isn't it? Because your hair is meant to be your knowledge, isn't it? Shows you your knowledge, I think.
Yeah, but you can't grow your hair back but so fast.
Yeah, I know.
You know, if you got hair that goes all the way down to your ankles or down to even your ass, I mean, that takes a long time to grow that hair.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not overnight.
So, I'm just going to go to the toilet, mate. All right,
okay.
I'll be 1 sec, mate. Sorry.
Okay. I'm going to look at the chat here and see if you guys have any interesting things to ask. Not many Chinese made it home. I think you're right about that. We have a huge Chinese presence in America. And here's the thing. I think that the railroads were already here. So if the railroads are here and they say the Chinese built the railroads, well, what were the Chinese doing? They were doing something, and somebody had to dig these buildings out and build the stairs to the new level and put in the new doors and windows, and because the original levels were below ground, and then you get below ground and it looks like they've taken the windows and doors off of most of the buildings, but then on the modern ground level, what you see is these fancy windows and doors. And so it makes me wonder if they dug down, got the windows and doors, and brought them back up. And I think, in my opinion, a theory is that the Chinese immigrants were the ones that did that. Plus, they didn't speak English, so they couldn't, tell what they knew. Just a theory. Yep, Fred's got a day off. In case you're unaware and uninformed, Fred is the horse that built America. We demonize them for being drunks, etc. Yeah. There was a huge, huge demonization. People really, really were racist against the Chinese. If you look into that history, the blacks in America had it bad, but the Chinese, man, they really had it bad too. I mean, big time. People were really racist against the Chinese. I didn't know that until I woke up to Mudflood and started researching this stuff, and I started looking into this Chinese immigrants thing. And man, the racism was bad. Really, really, really bad. I mean, dude, there's a situation. I think it's it's on the East. It might have been Toledo. No. Oh gosh, somebody help me out. It's. I think it's in California. I think it's a city that starts with a T, and it's a city where they have a history where they literally went in. I shit you not, and they burned Chinatown to the ground with the people in it. They just killed everybody. They went through and killed everybody. It was like a Chinese massacre, and they killed like 4,000 Chinese people. It's in the histories. It's like yep, yeah, we did that. Wait, what?
There's Chinatowns everywhere. They've even got one in Malta as well. The Chinatown in Malta.
Oh, really? So that's a
Yeah,
thing over there too.
yeah. Running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to watch this at the same time.
Billy Philly, just so you know, is a boots on the ground North Carolina researcher. And so he's got a channel. So everybody go check out Billy Philly 22's channel.
It's not Billy Flip, is it?
No. He's out of Sanford, North Carolina, I believe. People from Japan had it horrible too in the US. Yes. But I think that the Japanese had it hard for different reasons. I think they had more of a problem because of the World War II, because of the crap there where they were putting them in internment camps and things like that, which is amazing that we did that in America. If you don't know about that, look into World War II Japanese internment camps. I mean, we actually put Japanese Americans, but Americans in internment camps in America. Americans are whack. We are whack.
One big reset, wasn't it? It's always a reset. That's what it is. It's a reset, just wiping out people.
Did you see the video where I put up that's about where in France in World War II, they were taking the buildings that had been bombed and blown up, and they were going in and knocking the rest of the walls down, and then taking the blocks, the stone, and putting in a machine and crushing it up, and then taking that crushed stone and making roads out of it.
Really?
Yeah, it's on my channel. It's one of the one of my top videos, and I call it like evidence cover up of Mudflood or something like that.
Yeah, that's really sneaky.
It's an old film, and it if you watch it, if you look at it in context, that what they're doing, I mean, it's clear as day. What they're doing is tearing down buildings during World War II in France, clear as day, and then they run it through this machine, clear as day, and they put it on the road, clear as day. And it's like, okay, well, they're using the rubble to make roads. Yeah, they are using rubble to make roads, but then it literally is covering up these stone brick large buildings that have been destroyed, and then they're covering it up by getting rid of it.
Recycling the buried old world.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is, isn't it? They're recycling it.
It's crazy. And yeah, Otto's saying the Australian, see, I look at I take a strong look at Australia too, because they have so we're kind of we got a kind of an advantage on you guys in Europe, or the whole continent, okay, the whole, Russia and Europe and all that, right? The whole 9 yards over there. But in North America and Australia, we kind of have an advantage to you guys in our research, because our official history is that nothing was here before a certain time. So we can start and say, wait a minute, we can start right here and say, well, that stuff wasn't here. It supposedly officially wasn't here, but it was here. That's another thing is let me see. I'm trying to check this thing. Okay, cool. Just so you know, Paul, you can go in the private chat there also and send messages.
All right. Okay. You learn something new every day, mate. Hey.
Cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you hit private chat and then you can do a comment. That's how people can talk to us, because sometimes we need to share.
I'm so amateur at this, aren't I, mate? I'm so amateur.
Yeah, but this is how you learn. You do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It becomes second nature. You just keep doing it, and it'll be real easy to you. But yeah, another thing that a lot of people don't understand is that the original slaves in America were not what we identify as slaves. They were indentured servants. They were a contracted worker. And so what they would do is they would sign a contract that they would work for a certain numbers of years, and they would be paid X number of dollars and be provided housing and clothing and food. And they would work their indentured servant contract. Once their contract was up, they became a freed man. That is a term, a freed man, not they're a freeman, not they're a free man, a freed man. It was a term.
And
it was a term of an
when we retire, mate. That's us when we retire.
Yeah. And so then they brought in the horseshit narrative where they were acting like they were bringing in slaves, and what they would do is they would move them around the world and bring them in and act like they were slaves. But I think what happened was this is a theory. And Dane Calloway is a good person to check out. So check out the Dane Calloway channel. He does a lot of research on this. But I think what happened was that they came in and they took these dark-skinned people. Let's say that, because I don't think they were from Africa. Not maybe in an ancient history, but I think that what they did was they came in, they took them prisoners of war, and they basically said, "Okay, here's the deal: die or sign the contract." Now, what would you do?
Sign the contract.
Exactly. I'm going to pay. You're going to sign a contract and get paid and housed and clothed and food, and you're going to free me when I'm done. Okay, I'm going to sign the contract. But if you look at the original slaves, there's a very different history than the slaves that came later. And what I think they did was they originally started off with these prisoners of war, basically, and then they transferred into the cover-up of the slave trade. Let's see. Sorry, had a customer calling. But it's the history is very different than what we've been told. And but it's like the slave ships. That show me a slave ship. There are no slave ships. Where are the slave ships? We don't have any.
We had a load in England, though, Beaks.
But where are they?
They're all gone now, but they're called Hulk ships. Have you heard of Hulk ships?
Hulk ships?
Hulk. Mate, I've done a lot of research on them. I didn't believe they existed. And now, there's a load that was moored out in the sea where I live. They're called Hulk ships.
I'll check into that.
Yeah, but that was in the 1700s, though.
But were they going to England?
They weren't going nowhere. They were just moored out or docked out in the sea. Like you're not getting off that boat. They're prisoners on the boat.
Okay.
So you were, and they got shut down apparently because of how disgusting they were, like full of diseases.
So these would be different than the ones they say they went over to Africa and chained them down in the hole.
Yeah, I don't think it's them. No, I don't think it's them. Okay. These are just
those ones they haven't found. There's one they say they found, but it's not really. It's not. Yeah. It's not what they say it is.
And another thing we got where I live in Hadley, we've got a place called Hadley Castle. But a part of that castle, I found an old magazine, and it was advertising how they were getting young men, making them. If you're poor, it's called the Poor Law. If you've got no money, you go and live in this place at the castle. They'll teach you a trade, and then they send you to Australia. And it showed you a map of the world. And it showed you England, and it said the New World, and that's where you're going. You're going to the New World. If you was this character that had no money, you're going to stay in this place like a workhouse sort of place.
Yep.
And then you'd learn the bricklaying or some sort of trade, and they'd ship you off to the New World. And it was funny because on the map it was called like the New World. You're going to the New World, and it was Australia.
Wow. And they had the workhouses here in America. That was a thing too. Like if the they were called poorhouses or workhouses, and you would go and if you were destitute, you could go and you would work your way, to pay off your debts or to live, and then they would teach you a trade. Man, this history is so weird.
It is, isn't it? It's weird because we don't actually know nothing. All we know is what we was taught at school. It's weird because we're literally picking every single bit apart as we're going along now, and there's just segments of people in different areas like working on different parts. So I reckon we'll get a bigger. Imagine what we're going to know next year. We're going to have a massive understanding. Like last year, compared to what we knew last year to what we know now. The consciousness of the collective of it is growing. It's massive. It's just
Well, that's the question that John Levy left me with that really resonated with me. He says, "Where do we go from here?" And he was saying, "Where do we take the research from here? What is the next avenue, the next thing? What is the next rock to look under?" And that resonated with me, like that question. So that's why I asked you that question earlier, because that is a great question, because we always need to find that new rock to look under. That new door to open, that new whatever. I mean,
I
because
think one thing leads to another, doesn't it? Like you'll be on one thing, then you'll come on to something else, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, I've got to go and check this out now." And then you're on that for a few months, and that's how it works for me. Then I'm on something else. So one thing leads to another. But
yeah,
in what John was saying, there's not much you can do. That you're not going to go. There's nothing.
That's exactly how I found viaducts. It started with me seeing a video about the Seattle Underground. And in that video, I saw pavement lights, and I thought, what is that? So I looked into pavement lights, and when I looked into pavement lights, then I learned all about that, and then I made videos on it. And then I started looking, because I was looking at pavement lights, I started looking into undergrounds. And when I started looking at undergrounds, then I remembered, oh, wait a minute, I remember that time on New Year's Eve, I was in Atlanta Underground at that bar, and we had a great time, and I wonder what that was. And then I went and looked at that, and then I'm like, wait a minute. This is exactly what I've been looking for. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute, why are they just saying it's this one area? Because I don't remember it being that big. And I started looking into it, and all of a sudden, this city starts coming out from the underground, and I realized that underground is just a little tourist trap.
Yes, that's it. That's all it is. The tourist attractions, aren't they? Like everyone goes to a tourist attraction, but there's so much more going on. So much more. And when I go talk about Liverpool and Nottingham and places like that, these tourist attractions are scattered out over the whole of the city, but it's all part of the same thing. It's because we've built on top of it. You just got a little bit poking out. Oh, that's a tourist attraction. You've got a hole down there. Oh, that's a cave complex down there. It's the whole layer in my eyes. It's the whole layer.
Another weird anomaly, and I don't really have an answer for it, is that they talk about how people were smaller in America in the early days. And a distinct memory of mine is when I went and stayed on the USS Yorktown as a Boy Scout, and we stayed on the aircraft carrier for the weekend. And I remember they had these bunks that were 6 high, and of course, you want to climb up to the top bunk being a boy, And I was up there, and I was I'm 6'4", and I was shorter at the time, but I was still big. And I remember that the beds were like only 5 feet long, and I was having trouble fitting on the bed. And I said, why are the beds so small and the doors so short? And they said, well, people were shorter back then. And I thought, really?
You get that. I'm going to say you get that in Malta as well, mate. You get it in Malta. Some of the.
Why is that?
I don't know, but again, this is what I say. Like when I say an experiment, like maybe that was the last crop of people. They were smaller, and before that they were taller, and before that they had scales. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It seems like it's changed a little bit every time, because you get. And another thing in Malta I noticed, you'll have a really small little door like the size of a dog, but then you'll have the massive one next to it, and you think, what could that possibly be for? Like
that is weird.
It is very weird. I'll get a certain picture up. I'll go down Google Earth because I lost it now. But there's a certain picture where you've got 3 doors next to each other in Valletta. You've got
I've seen that same thing in Boston, Massachusetts, and you have a normal sized door, and right beside it you'll have a door that's like 3 foot tall.
Yeah. But again, with Malta, you've got one that's massive. So you've got 3 in a row. You've got a normal one, and then on the left hand side it's tiny, like a dog would go in it, and then on the right hand side it's like half the bloody building. And you just think, what has gone on here? What was this used for at one point?
Now, here's an area of research that you actually could get into. I don't know, we're kind of running out of time, but we'll talk about this another time. Is my research into the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Have you heard me talk about that before?
Is that the one with the rock in the middle?
Well, they call it the Dome. Yeah, the Dome of the Rock. Yeah.
No, I'm aware of it. Yes, I'm aware of it.
Have you heard my version of it though?
No.
Okay, we'll save that for another show.
Yeah.
I think you might want to go check that out sometime. But
your version?
Yeah, my version, my Beag's version.
Yeah.
It's different. It's a little different than we've been told. But I think I've got some pretty good stuff to show. I don't think. Let me put it to you this way: the Temple Mount. What we know is the Temple Mount is not the Temple Mount.
Right. It's somewhere else.
It's very close. What we know is the Temple Mount is actually Fort Antonia. It's the Roman fort, and the Temple Mount was actually right below it, about 1,000 feet below it, in what was called the City of David, which they are now excavating.
How did you find out this?
I'll get to it next time we talk. We'll get into it.
Man.
I think you'll really enjoy that.
Geezer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for that, mate.
I think you'll really enjoy it because I'll tell you about the Gihon Spring, which is a siphon pump spring. Oh, you're gonna love it. It's good stuff. Yeah, you know those big blocks they have in Baalbek?
Yep.
They got the same thing underneath the Temple Mount.
Well, you know what I'm going to say about that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it, mate.
I think that's a good place to leave off. I know you got to get going, and I don't want to hold you up, but did you have anything you wanted to add to the conversation before we head out?
I've got nothing to add. I've got nothing. I'm just happy to come on your show, mate. It's nice to have a good conversation with you. Really nice.
Absolutely.
Nice geezer, mate. Well, you're actually a really nice geezer, so I look forward to the next one.
Thank you. A lot of people think I'm a big asshole, but it's really in how you treat me. You treat me nice, I treat you nice. I treat
that's how life is, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm given.
I'm a mirror. That's what I call. I'm a mirror, mate.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's there. The respect's there, isn't it? So
I'm actually a big teddy bear, but I can also be a bear if you need me to be. But no, we've been talking behind the scenes, and you and I seem to have a nice rapport. We've had some fun, just chit chatting and playing behind the scenes. Cam as well, and I hope to add to that conversation with new creators, and we can continue that conversation behind the scenes so that we can do better in front of the scenes.
Yeah. Makes sense. It makes so much sense. Instead of tripping people up in front of an audience.
Yeah.
Work it out behind and then bring it to everyone.
Exactly. I think we have a lot more in common than we have not in disagreement. And I think that we can squash. I think a lot of the things that we disagree are not disagreements. They're misunderstandings.
Yeah. And not only that, I just think if you think something, that's what you think. That's your beliefs. Like that's, you know what I mean? So if I come along and sit there and say something that you don't believe in, then you're going to clash. And you're like, oh no. So it's just beliefs and opinions, mate. That's all it is. And for some people, like, might get their back up because it's discrediting what they're saying, so they have to defend it. If that makes sense, like, I felt like I was always defending myself up till John Levy. Like, I think that's why I blew up a little bit, as in, like, got a bit aggressive. Because I was always defending myself, mate, constantly. People like, what's this? What's this? Do this? Do this? Oh, yeah, this is wrong. So I was always defending myself, and that puts your back up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough dealing with most of the viewers are wonderful people that have a lot to add, but then you get these certain ones that wow.
I call them parasites, mate.
What are you talking about? Like, they just come out of nowhere with this random hateful shit that's just incredibly disruptive to what you're trying to do. It's very frustrating.
I just want to say, like, I wasn't being rude to I think the guy's called DN earlier. It's just that I have so many people coming at me telling me how to do things and what to do. When, no disrespect, I'm not interested about what anyone's got to say, because I'm just doing my own thing on my own path. I like to make my own mistakes. I like to play around with things. I like to add things and take things around. I don't like to listen to what other people are doing. Yeah, people may have the recipe. Good for you. But I'm just playing with materials on my own, and I'm just literally seeing what I can make. That's it. And when I do make it, it's going to be called Poolcrete.
Poolcrete, that's great.
Yeah, Poolcrete, mate.
Am I wrong, or are you getting ready to do a video on battery bricks or bricks as batteries or something?
Right. I've with this Geopolymer one here. Yeah, I'm gonna. I've been speaking to the guy, and it's a chemical called P-Dot, but obviously it's an expensive thing. So I was going to lace a brick with this chemical, and the guy said, "Don't bother, mate, because it's going to cost you an arm and a leg because the chemical's obviously expensive." I think it's £150 for 30 millimeter, 30 mil, 150 pounds, English pounds. So he said, "Don't lace the brick in it." He goes, "If you can break a bit off, then you can lace it with that." But then I thought, well, hang on a minute, I've made a geopolymer here. Why don't I kill two birds with one stone and make this whole charge? Whole tower, you know, because it's a chemical. There's a chemical called PDOT, and it allows you have to put a sort of primer on there first, basically, and it basically allows the brick or the content in the brick, which would be the iron oxide in this, because it's the same, the iron oxide in this, it'd allow it to take in energy and store it.
Have you heard anything about maybe a difference in the way the brick works depending on the color of the brick?
Again, I think it's the iron oxide. So it's the iron oxide in this that's going to allow the chemicals to react to make this conductive.
Right.
I think if you use the clay brick, maybe a yellow clay brick, or I don't think that would work. I think, and again, I'm very early doors on this, I think it has to have a certain chemical in it, a metal chemical in it.
What I have wondered though is if the yellow bricks are actually insulators.
Could be. I think the blue ones are insulators though, but the blue bricks are actually insulators because they use them. And
but
I think
they're more yellow bricks is why I say that.
Yeah, I think the blue bricks in England, they're used heavily underground, and they're called engineering bricks. And the reason they're that colour is because I think they're cooked a bit longer, which makes them a lot stronger.
Is that like a fire brick?
Yeah, but mate, I'm saying this like I'm pretty sure. I know I've looked at this years ago, so yeah, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'm saying.
There needs to be more research on bricks, a lot more.
Proper research though, not just looking at something and calling it that. You know, you need to literally break down the thing. I mean, but we won't go into that
look
now,
at a brick. That's an old world brick. I mean,
it's got no frog.
But,
turn it around. Yeah, it's got no frog. So that's before 1600.
Yeah, this is. I took this off a building that I remodeled myself, and it was taken out of the chimney area, and it's heavy.
It looks a bit slightly bigger than a normal brick as well. I think in England, the dimensions are 7.5 centimeters by.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's pretty standard. But then again, there are different size bricks. I mean, you know, you look at the Roman bricks and they're skinny and long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, different sizes there. But you know, I look at this brick and we look at this as something so simple. It's just clay that's hard. But there's more. This is technology we don't understand. It's a heck of a lot more interesting than we realize.
Yeah. So when you get that chemical on it, that will actually be able to store energy inside the brick. So the PDOT, the PDOT, but you have to put a primer on it, and then you can put the PDOT over the primer, and then it allows for these spores. It creates these spores inside the actual over the brick, like a lace over the brick, and that's what stores the energy, so it don't actually go directly inside the brick, so it's stored around it.
I wonder if I guess it would have to. Wouldn't the mortar have something to do with all this?
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's an insulator. I don't know because.
Okay, but think about it. If you've got a brick, right, and then it's separated from the other bricks with mortar. Okay, that means there's no connection between each brick. Well, there has to be a connection, like when you have batteries on a solar system.
Yeah, of course, like a series. It has to connect.
In series, yeah. So wouldn't there have to be some sort of connection? Maybe the mortar made the connection. I don't know. I'm shooting in the dark.
But some places, I don't know, this could be completely irrelevant, but I know that in some places you do put wall ties down. I don't know if you know what a wall tie is.
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously you can put bars of metal across as well. I don't know if you know about that. Maybe that could do it as well. That could pass the electricity. But I don't think this PDOT is not old stuff. It's not old. This is recent, by the way. So the
Are you
old world.
talking about the stuff they put on the bottom on the outside? It's like a facade on the bottom where they try to waterproof the outside near the ground.
Nah. This literally
Okay.
soaks into the brick. This goes.
The Streets of Tartaria, he talks about that. He calls it pebble mix. I think I didn't know if that was the same thing. It's like a
dash.
pebble mix concrete. It's cheap concrete, and they
Yeah,
throw it up on the side because the
Yeah.
bricks they you don't use brick underground for foundation because it's not good foundation. That's why when you see bricks below ground, you know something's wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, spot on, mate. Yeah. So what's he saying then? He's saying pebble dash.
He calls it pebble mix concrete. And it looks like a concrete with river pebbles in it, like pebble, the small little gravel for driveway.
So we have that in England, and that's like a decorative finish to a house, especially the houses that are like 100 years old. So what they've done is they've pebble dashed the whole house. They put cement up it, and then they throw stones all up it.
Oh, okay.
And then the stones stay on it. So it looks like it's called pebble dashed.
You know, they do the same thing here. Now that you're saying that, I hate that stuff. It's so like you put your hands on it and it feels unnatural. It feels very weird and hard, and it hurts your hand. And
every now and then you got a shell or something and you scratch your hand. It's horrible. What I think they've done is I think that's a cheap way of hiding the old buildings from World War II. And they said they got made in World War II, but I reckon they're done well before that.
I used to work in this building called the Burroughs Welcome Building in RTP, Research Triangle Park, in between Durham and Raleigh, North Carolina. And I did audio video in the building sometimes whenever I was called in to do it. And this is one of the weirdest buildings in the history of buildings. It was made in I believe the 70s, but the whole thing, the outside was that pebble, whatever that stuff is. It was the outside of it, but they called it the honeycomb. It was literally designed after a honeycomb. And it is if you check it out, Burroughs Welcome Building. They've destroyed it now, but that building was really crazy. And I remember distinctly walking through one day, and they had a bunch of people in hazmat suits, and I'm like, what are they doing? They're like, oh, they're taking out the asbestos. And that building was really weird because it was very strange building. I'm not saying it's old world. I'm just saying it was in the movie Brainstorm, I think was the name in the movie. It was the building in the movie Brainstorm, which is a really interesting flick. If you've never seen that.
No, I ain't. I have to write that one, mate. I've got a whole list of stuff to check out here, by the way. I've got a notepad and
basically, if I remember correctly, the plot of the film is where they were taking LSD and getting in a tank. Oh, good. Me too. I'm writing stuff down. But they would take LSD and get in a water submersion tank where they would lay in water, and the tank would totally. They couldn't see anything. They would close the door. It was like a coffin with water in it, but it was big, and they would lie in the water on LSD, and they would trip balls, and it would do things. That was kind of what the movie was about, and it's really hard to find. It's one of those movies that they told too much, and then they didn't really want you to know no more, and they really make it hard to find out. But it's called Brainstorm. But that building in that movie is the Burroughs Welcome Building.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out, mate. Definitely.
And it was, you'd walk around and like I would get so lost, and just to go from the auditorium to go up to the sound booth, you had to literally walk out the door, walk down the hall, go in some stairs, go up the stairs 3 flights, walk over down a hall, go through a door, down another hall, up some stairs, and then down another hall, turn into a door, open the door, and then you're into the booth. It was the weirdest building you've ever seen in your life.
I'll check that one out, mate. Definitely check that one out, man.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. So, okay. So let's let you get out of here. I know you're get going, but we really appreciate you showing up, and I believe you're gonna post this when I get it to you up on your channel. So, but we don't know if he's gonna be able to keep it up. kind of hoping maybe it'll stay up and get monetized, but we don't know. So it may go up and then come back down. But we hope to have you back, and I'm hoping to come on your show, on your channel sometime soon. We'll talk about viaducts and some other things. So we really appreciate you, Paul. Thank you for all your hard work, and we will see you soon. Okay.
Thanks for having me, mate. I appreciate you.
Much love.
Love, Tiger.
One love, Tiger. See ya.
Ta-da.
Say woof again! Say woof again!
I've got one that can see.
It's a mystery! It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma! Don't you get it?
Welcome to the underground.
This is my kung fu, and it is strong.
See you later!